Hi, everybody. My name's Willows.
And my name is Tyler.
And welcome to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we get drunk and debate business topics.
So everything beyond this point is alcohol.
Everything beyond this point is politics, I guess. Welcome to episode 22 and a half. We're not calling this a full episode, but we wanted to cover the presidential U.S. Election.
And not a live stream.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We were going to live stream it, but then we realized we both don't know how the Electoral College works, and we're just going to embarrass ourselves.
We're not political commenters.
Yeah, we didn't think we'd bring much value. I think there's some better people online that you could listen to illustrate. But what we're going to do is just kind of watch we got the counter, the election results in the background here on the TV. We're going to kind of give our predictions, our opinions, and then maybe fast forward to the end and then see the results.
Yeah, and share some of our, just ever so slightly above average knowledge about politics.
More of a retrospect on the election, shall we say.
Yeah, so
there's a plug there this entire time. I have I moved this so it would be closer to the plugs. Fuck off.
It's funny. New studio, by the way.
It's actually the second episode we recorded in the new studio. But if you look to my right,
setup.
My right, your left, we have a liquor cabinet now that I spent all my money on, and Tyler didn't contribute at all. And I want to start.
You drank all the liquor.
I want to start making more cocktails and stuff. I want to start doing that more at home.
Yeah.
So I've been buying some liquor and yeah.
Yeah, so right now we are staring at the election results. New York Times page with just the
live
stream comments, no live commentary, no video, no audio. So it right now at what is it? CST 8 p.m. CST.
Yeah.
9 p.m. Eastern. 85 points Biden, 72 Trump.
It's just the middle of the first period here, so it's
we're middle of the first period. a lot of hockey to go here, boys.
Yeah.
So I think what I was about to explain to Willows is there's something called the blue shift, which is in purple states or even in blue states in general. They take longer to tally up. Yeah. Just because there's more mail-in voting and because it's often in the voting is done in cities, higher counts equals later results. More densely populated areas means more votes per electoral college vote and blah, blah, blah. So basically, it will appear as if Trump is in the lead more earlier on, more likely. So as the night goes on, Trump has the popular vote right now.
It'd be a very good irony if Trump wins the popular vote but loses the election.
That would be
because he was
hilarious.
Making fun of Clinton for losing last time.
Yeah.
And
he's gonna try to call it tonight. So that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
He keeps saying that he's gonna call it tonight
because
is not really possible.
Because of the COVID-19 lockdowns and quarantine and everything. There's been record. 3 more states called. Wyoming wins for Donald Trump. South Dakota wins for Donald Trump. No surprises there. New York State for Joe Biden and New Mexico for Joe Biden. And North Dakota for Donald Trump and Louisiana for Donald Trump. So we're up to 119 Joe Biden, 94 Donald Trump. You need 325 remaining. You need 270 to win.
Wow.
None of that is surprising though, I think.
No.
What was I saying? I don't care. Whatever.
You're talking about mail-in voting.
Right, yeah. We have record mail-in voting. It's 100 million votes cast via the mail, I read.
So,
which means a lot of states have the rules that they can't start counting the ballots. I'm correct on this, right? Until the election starts or it ends?
Until today.
Until today. So there's a lot of places that haven't come in yet. So likely this will be the first election in a long time that they won't be able to call on election night because they'll be still counting the mail-in votes.
Well, here's the legal or technical background to this if you don't already know. They've never called an election on election night. They actually call it they call it on the 14th usually.
I don't think that's true.
No, it is true because
I watched the last one.
Most states don't validate until the 14th.
Oh, but it's there's never been a big enough disparity to.
Right. Until unless you count Bush v. Gore, but
Do you know that story pretty well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's tell that story in a bit.
Yeah. So the vote that gets called on election night is actually called by news anchors. It's not by any government officials.
Yeah, that's why they say like CNN is predicting whatever.
Yeah. No, it's a prediction of probability, and they're usually right. There's a lot of very smart people behind those, but
has there been a situation where they're wrong?
I think Bush v. Gore is probably the best example,
well,
because they flip flopped. So basically, early on in the night, they called it for. I think they called it for Gore.
This was the second time George W. Bush ran for president against Al Gore.
Yeah.
In 2000.
2004. I think it's 2000.
Hadn't 9/11 already happened?
I don't know. Whenever I hear it referenced, I always say 2000.
Wait, who did Obama run against the first time?
McCain.
John McCain was president?
No.
Oh, because you can only do 2 terms in America. Yeah. George Bush was the president before Obama, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Obama won the first time in 2008.
Right. So
this would have been 2004.
2000
would have been the first time.
Yeah.
And then 2004 would have been when he ran against Al Gore.
No, I'm pretty sure he ran against Al Gore in 2000.
Jamie.
This will be a really quick Google. We can solve this. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyways, year doesn't super matter right now.
Yeah, literally, it doesn't matter at all.
Anyways, so I may have this a little bit wrong, but the idea is, I think the news called it early. It was super close, but the news called it early, and they said, okay, we're calling it for Gore. And then they called it back, and they're like, no, wait, we think it might be Bush. So they basically had to go on air and admit, they're like, oh, sorry, we fucked up. Well, it's actually going to Bush. And then the campaign, or I guess Gore's campaign, looks into it, and they realize it's, in a state with millions of voters, it's a few hundred votes off. So Gore had already he had already conceded, and like based on, I guess, because of Florida and all these other states that had flipped, but Florida was the main one. If Florida flipped, whatever, either way, it would have been the deciding factor. So he had already conceded at the end of the night.
I'm pretty sure.
But then they realized it was only a few hundred votes, and then he called Bush back and rescinded his concession. But that was his fuck up, is he conceded too early.
I think there was part of it was like Bush, after a certain amount of time, you don't have to. There's like a law that says you can't count the mail-in votes or whatever after like a certain amount of time, and he called that, and he's like, "Oh, you got to scrap all those votes," and there was like 3 million votes that weren't counted or something.
No, so
I'm pretty sure that's what
it's a lot more complicated than that. So basically, they challenged the votes in specific areas, and they weren't mail-in votes. What happened is it was the Chads.
Oh, I love the Chads.
So it was these voting machines. Basically, it's like a notched thing. Like instead of a checkbox, it's like a notched, like perforated box,
it's
and
like
you
tests, right?
And you knock out the box.
Yeah.
So the machines where you're doing this, basically where those notched things drop into, they were getting too full. So when people would hit the notch, the paper wouldn't drop out, so it'd be kind of like half dangling there. So they weren't sure if it was like going to be counted or not. So it was like a physical error with the ballot. It wasn't like it wasn't a time frame thing. It was like an actual physical flaw, and this affected like a few 100,000 ballots.
Do humans count ours in Canada, or does a machine count?
I'm pretty sure machines count them.
But we just scribble out a box with like a pencil.
Yeah, I think machines count them.
Okay, I don't fucking know.
But it's like it's not, nothing's done digitally. Like one machine, or you like physically do it, and then there's a machine. It's just like an analog counter, like a money counter.
Yeah, because it can't be hacked if it's just an analog counter.
You plug it in the wall, and it just fucking counts things.
Yeah.
So I think they use those kinds of machines. But
polls are counting in Wisconsin, or closing in Wisconsin. The governor says he expects to know, but will not have all the ballots until Wednesday morning. And then it says polls are now closing in New York. Same thing. Mail ballots will be reported over the next days and weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not going to be counted today.
No, it's impossible. So to continue on the Bush v. Gore thing, basically what he did is he conceded too early before he realized that it was it was a razor thin. Like, it was a presidential election decided by hundreds of votes.
Yeah.
In a state where there was several 100,000 votes that were dubious.
Yeah.
Worth contesting, right? And basically in court, they went to go challenge a recount in these certain areas, which meant they would have people take these stacks of ballots and recount them by hand.
Yeah.
To see if the machines had fucked up. And they basically had guidelines, out of the 4 or 5 perforation marks, if you break more than half of them, it counts as a vote. If you break less than half of them, it doesn't count as a vote.
Fuck off.
Exactly. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
It's because there was all these they couldn't tell. So then basically the court ordered the government to count all these ballots, recount these ballots in these districts, whatever was granted by the judge. And so they go to count these things. They get a bunch of people together in this building downtown. I don't know what city it was in. And they're like, okay, we're going to recount these ballots. But they're like, there's more ballots here than we can physically count. So what we're going to do is we're going to count the ones that were so fucked up they didn't make it into the machines.
And then go off the machines for the rest of it.
That's 5% of this result, but that'll be enough
to call the election,
to call that margin.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so instead of counting 100,000 like the judge told us to, we're going to count 5,000.
Sure.
So they made that decision, and then they started counting them, and then basically I think it's the Bush campaign did a targeted run at, I don't know how many, there's a shit ton of radio DJs, and said okay, you need to say this has gone too far. Gore's a sore loser, whatever. They came up with a fucking story and basically got these radio DJs to mobilize protesters to go march on this building. So it was a bunch of fucking white college dudes with polo shirts and tucked into khaki pants that go running downtown, protest on this building. They break down the door. They literally fucking break down the door of this place, and they storm in. They start kicking over tables, and they stop counting. And they just never did, and they never continued to count.
Polls are closing in Arizona. We'll have to wait a few hours for the results, but based on early mail ballots, likely to be relatively stronger for the Democrats. It says Arizona will be the first state reported.
Okay.
From these backlogged ones.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically,
I'm going to keep cutting you off whenever there's a new update, but
yeah, fair enough. But basically, a bunch of preppy white boys disrupted the recount, which may have determined Gore as the winner. But see, that it basically descended into chaos because Gore conceded when he shouldn't have. He conceded too early, and then contested later, so he looked like a sore loser.
So we like to take real life events and put them into concrete business advice.
Sure.
That's what we like to do on this show. Business advice: don't give up.
Don't fucking show your hand.
Don't concede.
Don't show your hand. Don't tilt your hand before you absolutely have to.
Yeah, never.
Not
until they call.
And especially when you're talking about tight negotiations or court cases, because you haven't had to deal with this as much yet. No, you haven't had to deal with this yet. You haven't had to deal with any official legal battles with your business.
I have not yet.
You have litigated against the government in a talk to your MLA kind of idea, but you haven't had to fight anything in court.
They just called the senator of Wyoming is a Republican woman.
Okay.
That's it. That's the.
Wasn't that already called?
1 minute ago it says.
No, that's just a post about it. That's not when it's a new announcement, it says winner at the top instead of a person's name.
Okay.
But yeah, historically contested elections have ironically actually been influenced by a bunch of protesters, literally physically forcing government officials to stop counting.
So on that note, let's number one do
pretty scary.
I want to do each of our predictions, and then I want to talk about what our predictions are in the situation if Trump doesn't give up or something like that, right?
Right.
So I'll start. I think Donald Trump is going to win the election by a very close margin. I think it's going to be as close as last time or closer. But I think Trump is going to win.
Okay. I think Biden is going to take it, but again, by a skinny margin. This is early in the night. Our opinions are definitely going to change yet. But
definitely.
Predictions are going to change.
This is why I wanted to do it.
These are not opinions, they're predictions.
Yeah.
Let's be fair here.
Neither of us care, really.
Yeah, I hate them both.
Yeah.
So I think
I like them both.
I think Biden's going to take it by a narrow margin, and let's talk about why. Like, do you think Trump's going to win because you think he should, or just because that's what you understand?
From my understanding of like Americans that I've spoken with, and just how the situation looks down there, I just think it's. I really don't care who wins. I like Trump being the president because we get a lot of memes.
Oh, for sure. He's very quotable.
Yeah, he's great.
He's memeable.
Kung flu.
I honestly, okay, he's not memeable in like a funny way, lighthearted way. If you have dark humor,
I do.
He's very quotable.
My favorite.
I think Biden's gonna be more quotable in like
when he got distracted by that train.
Yeah, no, it's like kind of like funny, lighthearted humor that like everyone can laugh at.
But Kamala Harris is a
Trump memes are kind of like
Nazi.
the like "Hello darkness, my old friend" while laughing.
Well, you see him bring Little Pump on the stage yesterday.
Yeah,
this is literally a simulation. Like the simulation is testing us, and we are still believing it's real.
We are.
Why are we plugged into the Matrix still?
We are buying all of this bullshit.
Unplug me from the Matrix. No, I just think I think there's a lot of moderate Republicans that either didn't vote last election or voted for Clinton because Trump wasn't like they thought he was too much of a wild card, that now are going to be coming out and voting Trump. Biden winning in New York, not surprising. Yeah, whatever. I think there's a lot of moderate Republicans that are actually pleasantly surprised of how conservative a government Trump's been running.
Oh, he's very conservative.
He did a lot of cuts. He did a lot of, whatever, less spending, tax cuts and stuff. And I think there were
anti-abortion, anti-war.
Yeah, and I think, pro-war, right? But I think there was a lot of moderate Republicans that didn't vote for him in 2016 because they were like, well, I don't know how this fucking guy's going to be. He's unpredictable. He doesn't look like he's not fucking John McCain Republican? Yeah, John McCain. He wasn't fucking Romney. Like, he wasn't just like I'm a Republican, right?
I'm going to disagree with you on this part because from what I've listened to, from what I understand.
Well, the mainstream media is fake news, so you're getting your fucking news from fake sources.
Absolutely. Only fake sources. That's my criteria for news.
Welcome to the fake news podcast.
And I can sympathize with this, but the general feeling around Hillary was just a lot of people just thought she was like crummy and
she's a snake person,
cold, and
lizard
snake-like, and yeah, she's like a lizard person.
She is a lizard person.
She just wasn't a likable individual. Like her approval.
Now I'm on the Clinton list.
Her approval ratings, her likability was
very low,
significantly lower than Biden's.
Sure.
Like just general likability, and that turned a lot of people that were typically Democratic voters flipped to Republican because Hillary was seen as like an elitist establishment,
which she is,
right?
Was
100%,
but so was Biden.
100% justified. And like from what I heard of people that like had voted, blue for the longest time, flipped to red, was basically they're like, she never visited here. She doesn't give a shit about us. Like the Democratic Party used to be like the Labor Party, the Workers' Party, the party of the people, and they're like, we're the people. She doesn't give a shit about us. She doesn't talk about us. She talks down about people like us. She, thinks we're stupid. Like we're like rural people with blue collar jobs. She thinks we're fucking stupid. Like she only appeals to like Silicon Valley hipsters. Like that's how the feeling was about the Democratic Party, and that's why a lot of people flipped red, those moderates. But seeing Trump in power for so and so long, just relentlessly offending all their values, they're like, oh, this wasn't any better.
See, what my point was going to be before was that there was a lot of moderate Republicans and like people that would like voted blue and people that like barely voted blue and people that didn't vote that have now been called white supremacists by the media and called fucking, if you like Trump, you're a fucking Nazi and you're Hitler, all this shit. And now they're like, you know what, fuck you. And now they're doubling down and voting for Trump because they're like, well, if you're going to call me a fucking Nazi, I may as well fucking vote for Trump. Go fuck yourself. Like,
see, I'm gonna Google this right now for actual numbers, but
sure.
From what I understand, the new voter category is majority blue.
Okay. Republicans win Georgia's 14th congressional district, so they get another Congress seat.
Georgia, yeah.
Is Congress the House?
Yeah.
Because House and Senate are different things.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Well, we have the same thing.
No, but they're not this. It's not the same though.
Well, we have a similar system though.
Not really though.
But I mean, like our bills have to go through the House and the Senate. But our Senate appointees are lifetime appointments.
But but the Senate doesn't really. The Senate here isn't really affiliated, are they? They're not really partisan.
No, they're super partisan.
Here?
Oh, here, no.
That's what I'm saying.
No, here really... in Canada, the senators are not partisan. They are elected by they're chosen by the prime minister.
Yeah, but they're not partisan. I don't think they
can be partisan.
They just like vote the law. They like put the laws into effect.
Well, they voted the same as the MLAs. The senators of Canada are less partisan because they don't ever go up for re-election.
Well,
and they're not subject to the whims of the party. Once they're elected, they never have to listen to them.
What happens in America, if the Senate and the House aren't the same, then they vote against each other.
Yeah.
And they block bills. But in Canada, if you can't pass a major bill, in quotations, which is usually a budget bill, there's a no confidence vote. And if you lose that, you're not prime minister anymore.
Yeah, and then it triggers an election.
They triggers an election, yeah.
So here's one of the things that's important to realize when, like, a lot of Trump's speaking points was like, why didn't you do more when you were a vice president, Joe?
You were vice president for 48 years.
Right.
Wait.
So, and then he has that great answer at the end. He's like, we had a Republican House, which means bills were not getting, like, nothing. Like, the president can write executive orders. Like, most of this stuff happens through the Congress and the Senate.
The president has much less power
than people think. Yeah. So he's like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? The reality was
he couldn't.
They had the Senate and they had the presidency, but they didn't have the House.
But couldn't you say that about Trump?
So
same way he hasn't done much.
Trump has the Senate, which means anything that the Democrats try to do,
he can block.
So there's
because House introduces it, then the Senate has to ratify it or whatever. Like put it. Yeah.
So there's dozens and dozens of bills that Trump's like, why haven't you done this yet? Or why didn't you do that? There's like dozens of bills that are just like laying dead at Mitch McConnell's feet.
Yeah.
Like he just says, no, we're not voting on it.
The system is set up for gridlock on purpose because neither side wants anything to happen.
Right. Basically. Yeah. And they can cause gridlock not even by the vote. He can be like, okay, so there's I think it's the Senate committee, or I don't know what it's fucking called. But basically, bills that come up from the House, they have a committee that decides on when and what they're voting on and what's going to get introduced and like put into the minutes at the Senate because they have whatever limited amounts of time.
Yeah.
So they can choose what comes through the House that they want to vote on or not. And the Senate Majority Leader decides who's on that committee. And it's like, let's say it's like 7 people, so they'll always have like a 4-3 majority in his favor. And those 3 people are basically there just as fucking showpieces to be like, oh yeah, we have everyone on this party. But if he doesn't want a bill to pass, he just doesn't have to bring it on the agenda.
Yeah.
He can just let it.
Or then
sit.
it comes on the agenda, then you filibuster.
Exactly.
Which is my favorite thing. You just don't stop talking.
Yeah.
That's filibustering.
Yeah.
Where because it's I don't know what they call it in America, but here it's unparliamentary to interrupt someone. You can't interrupt someone while they're talking.
Yeah.
So what you do is just stand there on the mic or whatever and just keep talking about bullshit. And just as long as you don't finish your sentence.
Yeah, Ted Cruz famously read Green Eggs and Ham in his like 23.5-hour filibuster.
Yeah, 23 hours he's just talking because you can't interrupt him. And then you just do that until the session's over and then it just goes away.
Yeah, but the majority party, there's certain ways that you can actually block a filibuster as well.
Yeah, punch him.
Yeah, exactly.
Got he.
But anyways, like fucking half the accusations that these politicians throw at each other is like the doings of their own parties.
So here's the solution. And I want you to tell me what is an actual problem with this, okay? Because I can't see one. We divide the country in half, put all the Democrats in one half, and put all the Republicans in the other, and just let them live their lives.
They will inevitably form four parties.
Good.
And you have the same fucking problem just twice.
I fail to see how that's not a solution to our current problems. No, because then if you're living in a different state and you start left-leaning, then you just move to the left side.
But people don't want to move. They want to change. They want to change people's minds.
We'll pay for it.
If moving was the answer, you'd move to fucking Norway, where you can have socialized school, medicine, transport, and everything.
Right. So here's the thing. We will renovate the states to look exactly like the other states. Right?
The fucking people are the same. You have government paid actors that look like real people.
It's like a mirror. So like we'll put you in.
Yeah, it's the globalists. The globalists will put in. We'll put in actors.
We'll put you in West Florida.
Yeah, and they'll look exactly like your hometown.
Exactly, and you won't even know. But you're left leaning now. I fail to see how that's not a legitimate solution to this problem.
Because, like I said, you can't beat human nature. Like,
it doesn't take my house from me.
It doesn't matter where you move people; they're gonna act the same. They're gonna the right is gonna split into left and right, and the left is gonna split into left and right.
Why do we even have right then? Why don't we just we get rid of the right people and we just keep the Democrats?
No,
wait, hold on. Why don't we outlaw people? Because no people, no problems.
You're onto something there.
I don't know. I think there's no solution to any of this. But I also, the older I get, the more pessimistic I get with politics. And I think that nobody in charge actually makes a difference at all.
You're right about that. I've been listening to a lot of history podcasts lately. And here's like the political systems that are at play. Like you have democracies, you have monarchies, you have communism, you have socialism, you have fascism.
America is a republic.
Right, you have a republic.
Canada is a constitutional monarchy.
Right, but it's effectively a democracy.
No, it's not. Democracy means when you can vote for everything that happens, like before you go to war, before everything. Right. They cast votes for everybody, and that's what they did in Greece. Famously, came up with that, where everyone got a say in everything. That's a democracy,
right? Which is never been attempted.
You can't really do. I think Greek came up with it. I think invented it.
Yeah, but it's never been actually carried out.
Yeah, I think they did it for a long time. I'm pretty sure, hundreds of years.
But not true democracy. They weren't going to the peasants in the farmyards and being what do you think of this? No, they were asking other rich white people that own land, what do you want to do here?
Well,
it wasn't full representation.
The Greek people are olive colored. Let's be honest here.
Okay, fair.
Just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I think you also, I think we've talked about this before. Direct democracy, I think, is the future. because at the point where our phone, like we have a Neuralink chip on our brain that obviously it's us. And then we just think it's like, hey, do you want to go to war in Iraq? And we're like, no. Then it knows our chip. And then it takes a real-time vote of everyone in the country in like 2 seconds.
Right.
Like,
That takes a level of wokeness. Like, fucking America can't even agree on, like, can we mail
never mind,
ballots?
can we have chips in our
That's
brain?
been happening for 200 and some years.
I don't understand. People can vote from space, but like I can't vote. Okay, well, and America's the only country with this problem.
Right. Because it's a part now. The right to vote is a partisan issue.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure there's like African war-torn countries that have higher voter turnout than America does.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Like, it's...
Because they fucking appreciate the right to vote. In America, it's like, it's become partisan about who wants to vote and the ability to vote and the right to vote.
R. Biden Jr. wins the District of Columbia. No surprise there. That puts him up to 122 electoral votes.
From 121.
From 121. And he needs 270 to win. This is compared to Donald Trump's 93.
Yeah, so really tight. Popular vote, still 48 Biden, 48.2 Biden, 50.4 Trump.
How much does Joe have? Dr. Joe Jorgensen.
Huh?
Dr. Joe Jorgensen. Joe. What? What do you mean she has none? She's the most qualified candidate.
What I was going to say is out of like all the systems that exist, one interesting comment I heard today is like virtually everyone can agree we don't want fascism.
Well,
like they all disagree amongst themselves about which is better, but like everyone can pretty much agree fascism is bad.
But most people want communism.
Right. It's like
Got him.
You have communism, socialism. Like one of the stupid things about current day politics is people think communism, socialism, nationalism, fascism are like all in the same category.
Or those are the only four choices.
Right.
Well,
It's like, how about, hey, democracy?
if you look at like the quadrant, like the Google Political Compass, go to politicalcompass.com, and they have the quadrants, like the authoritarian right, libertarian right, whatever. Even Bernie Sanders is still in the right. Like
right.
in the top, in the authoritarian right, every single American political candidate is pretty much over there, except like Jill Stein is kind of in the bottom left. Like
right. That's why when you said, "What if we put the blue people in the
I know, I'm
one
just
side
kidding.
and the red in the other?" Like that's exactly why, because everyone's already on
I
the
was
right.
being sarcastic. Like
I know you're being sarcastic, but that's the point.
The joke of like Trump being like you're voting for freedom or socialism. And it's like, even Bernie Sanders, who's more left than fucking Biden, was still authoritarian right. Like, he still wants the army. He still wants fucking banks and corporate bailouts and, like, you know, everything the fucking right. Like, he just wants higher taxes. He's a fucking...
My favorite meme was the... it was like a C-130, whatever, military bomber dropping bombs on, like, Iraq. And it's like when Democrats are in power, it's like with the what is it, like a blue
the donkey.
Anyways, it was like a deckled plane.
Donkey?
It's like the Democratic Party bombing Iran.
Yeah.
And then when the Republicans are in power, it's like the same plane, but like with a fucking red flag on it bombing Iran, or maybe a Nike logo because you got to monetize that shit.
Fair.
But it's the same shit's gonna happen regardless.
Well, I saw like another similar thing like that, like. Guys like holding his dying wife after they got like drone striked, and it's like it's like under a Republican president it's like, oh fuck America, whatever. It's like under a Democrat it's like, wow, she's so progressive. Like but he's still like holding his dying wife, but they're like, wow, a woman did this to me. Like they all have the same policies at the end of the day. I think like they're both not who I would want to lead me ideally.
So what do you do?
I don't vote. Just kidding, I vote. But
we are anarchists.
We're anarchists,
By
kind
the way,
of.
FBI, hello.
Hello, I make bombs in my base.
Jet, cut that out.
Some.
Buddy.
Can't sue me. We didn't sing it. Can't sue me. Ohio. Oh, no, this is some tweet.
See, you want to explain anarchist
Sure.
theology, Willis?
Yeah, sure.
What do you understand?
So, yeah, I would say I'm pretty familiar with the. Yeah, sir. So anarchy, I think what a lot of people think is Mad Max,
Yeah,
Fallout.
which sounds like fun.
Sure, but I think a lot of people think that anarchy is just, everyone's going around killing and raping and pillaging and whatever. It's just like wasteland, like.
Right, because it's a simile to the word anarchy, which is like chaos.
Yeah, but I think anarchy.
It's bad branding.
I think anarchy literally means no masters in like Latin or something.
And anarchists just like want to have gardens.
So what it is, there's anarcho-capitalism, anarcho-communism, but essentially horseshoe theory becomes the same. Is you basically just have no one ruling over you. So ideally, you would just basically, everyone on your street would have a different vegetable in their garden, and then you would trade it with each other to have full gardens and stuff. Like, that's anarchy. Is
right, and there's no like third party that can determine the monetary value exchange.
There's no market. There's no stock market. There's no government regulation. I can just plant a fucking mango tree and give away my mangoes and not fucking be subject to health inspections
or the creative. Oh man, listening to all the stories of colonialism, like.
Yeah.
One of the favorite tricks in the bag of, white colonialists is like, oh, the people are content and farming and they only work 3 months a year and they're really happy, but it doesn't make us any money. Let's introduce a property tax so that they have to work more to make more money to pay our property taxes, which
I think
fills the pockets of like 14 people.
I always say, like, capitalism does not equal corporatism, because I think what we have in America and Canada is not capitalism. As soon as you start introducing government licenses and taxes and regulations, and when government bailouts, anything like that, that's not none of that is capitalism. Capitalism is the market gets to decide. There's no...
Right, but here's the flip side to capitalism. The East India Company is like the first true capitalist venture, which is like basically unchecked power with no regulation, which turned into genocide.
Sure.
It's the same principle.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would make the argument that because it was backed so heavily by the British government...
Well, no, it was a privately backed. It was privately backed venture that was like, it literally created the stock market because it had so many private shareholders.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, the
nature of unchecked capitalism is like as equally evil as it is good.
Yeah,
you have to agree to that.
I think that when we talk about because like I believe in the NAP, the non-aggression principle, which is the cornerstone of libertarian ideals, and I think a lot of anarchist ideals as well, is you basically can't hurt anyone unless they hurt you first.
Right, but that does not translate into like pure capitalism. Like for you and I, absolutely, I understand that. I approve of that, but in general, especially with American capitalism, it's like hurting other people that is not even remotely a downside to making profit.
No, I know, and nothing that we do is perfect because there's imperfect people doing them, right?
Yeah, imperfect. Some people imperfect. Also, a lot of evil people that are just like, I'm just gonna grift everyone.
Yeah, and
to pad my pockets,
and they ruin it for the rest of us, right?
Exactly. Like that's
so.
See that this is something we've talked about on a mastermind call. Is like pure capitalism, anarcho-capitalism. Hold
on. Joseph Biden wins Colorado up to 131
to Trump's
votes,
92.
Which, to Trump's 92. Continue.
So anarcho-capitalism, these ideas, they work
on small scale.
Ideally, they work in a vacuum. They work like in a specific.
And they work in small scale, I'd say.
Right. No, they absolutely do. But the thing is, here's the counter argument to capitalism, and I know JL has kind of made this argument. One of our one very intelligent and articulate friends.
He's fine.
Who's super communist. Sorry, JL.
He's the bizarro Willows.
Yeah, exactly. Is you can have a community with.
No, keep talking.
You can have a community of anarcho-capitalism with 100 people. 99 of them are good people, and they have good morals, and they believe in all the same things. They're like, don't hurt anybody. But you can have one asshole who's like charismatic, willing to walk over other people to get what he wants. He is going to annoyingly get the support and respect that people will actually respect, like, and follow that person, kind of like
and
Trump.
That's Joe Biden.
Sure. And it's like the grifter, for some reason, becomes popular. It's like a narcissist. Think about like a narcissist personality.
Sure.
That individual in like a small group of people can gain the advantage and start basically like bulldozing over people. Like, it only takes one person out of 99 good people to completely turn this like really nice, self-sufficient, happy commune into us versus them.
Which we have seen happen on the left and the right. We've seen it happen with Stalin. We've seen it happen with Hitler.
It is not a partisan thing. It's a fucking human nature thing.
Yeah.
The guy could be arguing for super communist ideals. He could be arguing for super socialist ideals. He could be arguing for fascist ideals. He could be arguing for religious ideals. He could be arguing for fucking democracy.
But so what's the solution? Yeah, because I'm going to kill everyone that doesn't come to my democracy.
Exactly. Like, it is inevitable of humanity to have that one person, even in a small of a sample size of 100 people, one person will fuck it all up. So
here's a good example in that's close to home is the Hutterites, which are kind of like Amish, but
they're pretty much anarcho-capitalists.
Well, no, they're communists, 100%.
Hutterites?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But they make so much money.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
No, they are. I would call them almost more anarcho-capitalists.
Because
collectively.
No, because ANCAPs have a lot of personal responsibility and personal liberty, but Hutterites have none. Like, it's all communal.
No, they have a lot of. They'll have a lot of freedom inside their rule structure. Like okay, hold on. For the context, because a lot of people don't know what Hutterites are, they're almost like Amish, but they use technology and they manufacture stuff, but they live on their own colonies. They live in communes.
They live in commune colonies, they call them, in rural Manitoba, Saskatchewan, I think, right. North Dakota mainly.
Yeah, and the leader of the group is the pastor.
But yeah, they're very, very religious. Like, don't use zippers. Like, make all their clothes with buttons, like shit like that.
Yeah, so it's like
can't get their picture taken.
Massively varying degrees from like Amish to like modern.
But they're also hustlers, and they like manufacture a bunch of shit, and they resell stuff. And I love them because they hate the government, because they're very like, well, God didn't put you in charge. Go fuck yourself. They make wine and distill illegally. Hopefully I'm not ratting them out, but I've drank some fucking colony wine. I think if you're from Manitoba, you always have
some of the best engineering and manufacturing that comes out of central Canada is from Hutterite colonies.
And I had a Hutterite guy tell me the other day he's scamming Manitoba public insurance for his colony vans that they have. They don't give a fuck, because they're like, we believe in God's rule, not yours.
Right.
Go fuck yourself.
And then there's other sects of Christianity, which it like very specifically says in the Bible is respect your local government.
Yeah.
And follow their rules. They're like, no, that doesn't mean that. That means like the pastor.
So, my point was going to be, the Hutterites, when they hit 300 people in the colony, they split into two colonies.
Right, they have a maximum threshold because they've realized that colonies don't work over a certain number of people.
Yeah, so at 300, they split into 150 each, and then they go and make a new one.
And in case you're wondering, they intermarry between colonies a lot. Like, It's super. They network together, and they recommend that you marry someone from a different colony
They
because
don't
they
incestuous it.
They understand inbreeding.
They're smart. They're not. They're not these
very
religious.
smart, like,
they're not these religious like fucking idiots.
You like these groups. They will have a 11-year-old that will kick your ass on AutoCAD and on a laser CNC and build Formula One race car parts at a level that like a fucking university kid could not.
I work with these kids.
They're geniuses.
I work with these kids all the time at farmers markets and stuff.
Yeah.
And they like show up by themselves. They like get dropped off by their parents. They're 10. Yeah. And they're like, hey man, like you want to barter for some? I got 6 goats here. Like, like where's your parents?
Yeah, they hustle.
Oh, they're hustlers. And they like learn German first.
Yeah,
like a bunch of them have accents, even though they grew up 5 minutes from here, and like it's fucking fascinating.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like in practice, they're like anarcho-capitalists, but they live in communes. It's almost like
because they don't have their own money. I don't think they all contributed together.
Right, but collectively, they hustle for money. So it's like a hybrid. It's like a giant family unit.
John Hickenberger, Democrat, wins U.S. Senate seat in Colorado. Whatever. Sorry, there's a big like check mark. That's usually when someone wins a state, but it's
a seat. Yeah,
it's a Senate seat. Oh, here's another one. Democrat wins Minnesota Congress seat, which is House, right?
Yeah. So we're sitting at 131 to 92.
This is still the electoral votes. The big numbers, the 131. Yeah. The Congress votes are different.
Correct.
Yeah. But anyway, they realize, the Hutterites realize that at a certain point, and they've determined it's 300 people, it doesn't work anymore.
Well,
you can't control
300 people is the splitting point, but most colonies will sit somewhere between 70 and 120.
Yeah, because you can't effectively we're 35 million people. America's 350 million people.
No, here's one of the reasons. Like this is, I guess, a study of human nature. But you cannot have a human can maintain personal relationships with more than like around 100 to 125 people.
I can. I have 125 best friends.
Okay, so that's roughly the breaking point.
They're all dogs.
So that's the breaking point of like. People become partisan or ideologically separated when you can no longer like understand the humanity of the people around you. When you stop seeing people as humans but as parts of this us or them, that is the moment when you get a divide. So you cannot have anarcho-capitalism because you're going to have the us or them becomes more powerful.
I just want to be left alone.
And you can. You have the ability. The world is big enough. You can
I just want to sell my liquor to consenting adults at an agreed upon price without paying 50% in taxes.
Right. So
that's all I want to do. I just want to sit in my house.
That's your pitch.
Touch pugs and be happy. Maybe masturbate. Maybe drink beer.
See, that basically proves my point. Is you have a very specific very short list of things that you need to like be happy, right?
Yeah, go to a pub,
right?
Like, see a dog.
But the pub itself could be a 1,000 different things. It can look a bunch of ways. Like the beer could be different prices, where it is, what it looks like. That could be so many different things. Like you want to be able to, you want to have personal relationships, socialize with people.
Yeah.
You want to be able to buy things you want to buy.
Yeah.
You want to go places you want to go.
I just don't want to be told what I can do.
Right. Freedom to travel, freedom to choose. Yeah. Freedom to drink, freedom to buy, freedom to sell.
Yeah.
Like, but it's going to center around specific issues, and this is how everyone is. Everyone has like their 2 or 3 issues they vote on.
Well, I guess like,
and these days, like people even get down to like a single issue voter.
Where I'm like, I just want to be left alone and I'll figure it out. Some people are like, well, yeah, but I also want a good education.
I need to be taken care of because I'm at a disadvantage.
Well, I have diabetes. I need fucking insulin.
That's exactly where my mind was going. Actually, like I'm at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I'm
in the U.S. By the way,
it.
If you do not have proper insurance, it costs between $750 and $1,200 a month for a survivable amount of insulin.
Why don't people just get insurance? Dum-dums?
Great fucking question.
Um,
I don't understand that because I'm not American. I have
universal
socialized
basic.
medicine.
I hate socialized medicine. I would happily let grandfathers die if it meant I could keep like $18 more out of my paycheck.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are your beliefs on quote unquote like socialized medicine,
communist medicine?
Like, go fuck yourself. It's a human right.
I don't think it is.
My beliefs are,
we've had this conversation on this podcast before,
right, but
where idealistically, if you make something a right, then that means you're compelling the labor of the people that provide that service.
Right, or you're compelling the government to tax for it.
Well,
is
no,
more
because,
so what it is now.
So say, let's scale. I think we've talked about this before, but whatever. This is an episode that doesn't even count.
Yeah.
Say we come down. Let's say the entire country's 100 people, just to make it easy, right? Now, out of those 100 people, 2 of them are doctors. Yeah. And everything's working. The doctors do the surgeries, do everything, whatever. But one day, someone needs an abortion. Right? Both doctors say, I don't want to do the abortion. It's against my personal moral and religious beliefs. I don't want to do that abortion. If the abortion and the healthcare is a right, what do? The government or whoever's in charge. In theory, they force one of those doctors to do, because otherwise what happens?
So here, I would consider that like a Ben Shapiro level premise, where it's flawed on fucking 7 fronts.
I don't disagree with that, because that would never happen.
It's not possible.
But fundamentally, though,
fundamentally, it's not possible to have that kind of issue.
Okay, so if it's not possible, then why do you need to call it a right? If people are always going to be able to do it, why compel people?
Because the government is forcing doctors to say you cannot do that.
What are you talking about? Where? What
abortion rights is a contested legal right.
Okay, let's not say abortion then. That was just the thing that came off my head.
But any right, though, that's the thing. There is no such thing as free rights, because somebody keeps on stepping in and saying yes or no.
Well, and that's what I'm saying because that's why it's dangerous to call it a right, specifically because you're compelling, like,
that's my argument, though. In theory, you are compelling someone.
Like, we don't have
but that's assuming that there's only one group of people that need something, and then there's another group of people that need to fulfill that don't consent. So the odds of that happening are virtually zero, because we have
35 million people not.
No. This goes back to your capitalism point, because if there is a demand in the market,
people will provide
a supplier will rise to fulfill the demand.
I 100% agree with you.
So that's basically a contradictory statement.
No, I agree with you, because I'm fairly certain, correct me if I'm wrong, but healthcare is not a right in Canada. We just have socialized medicine.
Exactly, which means
that's different.
It's affordable for people.
Correct.
It's accessible to everybody, period.
So here's the thing. I can believe we should have socialized medicine, and also believe it shouldn't be a right. I can believe, because I think we have a right to what? Water, shelter, something. I think those are our human rights.
Internet's coming.
We have a human rights code in Canada.
Right.
And healthcare is not on there, to my knowledge, but we have a pretty robust, albeit shitty sometimes, healthcare system.
Because if it was a right, for example, let's say you had a consenting doctor that did the best he can, but failed to give you the effective care and wasn't good enough, you could sue him, say it was my right to get proper care.
Yeah.
And you failed to give that care.
This is what I disagree with, is that.
Right. So I don't think you can. There's certain lines you have to draw, obviously. Which just goes to say this is an incredibly nuanced conversation about even just one topic, which is healthcare.
I'm also very hyperbolic when I talk.
Yeah.
On purpose. I think socialized medicine is probably good in the long run. I also think that.
I think socialized safety nets is the key to general happiness.
But I also think that.
Because if you're living in one of the richest countries in the world, you shouldn't have to worry about certain things.
So we spend more on administration in hospitals than we do on actual medicine.
Have you seen, like, that comes down to bureaucracy.
Which I am against. I don't like bureaucracy.
I would agree.
So I think that we get rid of government.
No, you just...
No, this is not a plan. I'm thinking, like, in theory, if you get rid of government and you say, hey, guys, people are dying. Maybe just give a bit of money, we'll make a hospital. We won't have any bullshit bureaucracy, though, so it won't be that expensive and whatever. I think enough people would come together and do that. Like, charity contributions in America, like, meet, like, the government budget or something.
Yeah, no, that's basically, like, the people's... This is what happens a lot in the States, too, where government fails to come up, nonprofit and charitable organizations, they really fill in the gap.
And I would make the argument that more people would donate more money to charity if they were taxed less. People like Warren Buffett have said that before.
Yeah.
That they give 50% of their money to charity, but they also pay 50% in taxes. If they paid less in taxes, they'd give more to charity, which would go to better causes. Because I always make this fucking argument.
So
people
like,
always say to me, they're like, oh, you're fucking against taxes, then I guess you don't want roads and you don't want doctors, you don't want fucking... I'm like, no, I want roads and doctors. I don't want fucking Justin Trudeau giving a bunch of fucking weapons to Saudi Arabia where they're beheading women for fucking getting raped and shit. Like, you know how much of our money, my tax money, goes towards, number one, military, number two, bullshit bureaucracy, people making 80 grand a year to fucking push paper that do nothing. Like,
see, this comes back to true democracy, which is where we...
Yeah, if we could all say, hey, this is bullshit.
What's that song? I think it's like "Alone" by Black, where he's like, I wish that I could choose what my country does with an app on my phone, because the money that I spend pays for bullets that end up on a little boy in my neighborhood.
Yeah, literally. No, like
that's not the
that's why
not the verse. It doesn't fucking rhyme.
Yeah,
but it's something to that effect.
That's why I'm mostly against taxation, is because my money's fucking wasted. Like, historically, government is poor at providing good healthcare and good roads and good support.
Here's my counter argument, though. Government has allowed for the formation and operation of NGOs, which are not-for-profit, non-taxable organizations because they're not-for-profit. And
my organization's not for profit either.
Exactly.
Not by my choice. I'm just not making... Oh, sorry, non-profit.
I'm just not making any profit.
No profit.
And donations to NGOs and non-profits are tax deductible.
Yeah.
It's almost like the government's blessing to be like,
why do they need to be involved at all, though? Why can't there just be an organization that people give money to? Why do they have to be involved?
They do.
Why there's one more step here that doesn't need to be there?
Willows, shut the fuck up.
No!
It's just paperwork. It's not difficult.
This is my podcast. I'll paperwork you.
Anyways, an NGO or not-for-profit...
I'm capping out the mic. Look at my levels.
I know, you always do.
Do you think all these sudden outbursts will have an adverse effect on my blood pressure?
I hope so.
Ah! Sorry.
You maxed out my microphone.
It's fine.
NGOs and nonprofits basically offer the...
Wait, NGOs are like
non-government
right?
organizations that do like Red Cross.
Yeah, like genetically modified organisms?
No. That's GMOs.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said GMO.
That's fair. Somebody else probably did too. NGOs and nonprofits.
Oh.
NGOs are basically a capitalist / democratic way of achieving what you believe that the government doesn't do effectively.
So
they even give us a tax break to fund it. So basically, you can be like, I'm going to pay taxes to support what the government's doing, or I'm going to donate my money to an organization that's doing what I want them to do and not pay taxes.
Yeah.
There's the choice.
I just don't think...
That validates your point right there. It's already accessible to us. You just don't have a fucking charity that you found that you donated to. You could be like, I'm taking $30,000 a year that I usually pay in taxes. My corporation is going to give all this money to this charity. Like, you could be doing that.
But the average person can't.
And
the average person is still being stolen from.
Exactly. So this winds back to the whole idea of, it's not even that the average person is being stolen from. It's that the average person only has so many hours in a day that they got to feed themselves, maintain relationships, do their work, improve themselves.
Lindsey Graham got...
Fuck Lindsey Graham.
What's his... That's a boy, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He got his Senate seat in South Carolina.
Okay, I'm going to finish my rant.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk about Lindsey Graham for a second because he's funny.
I don't know much about him.
So...
Lindsay's a girl's name.
People only... Yes, it is. People only have so many hours in a day.
Hey, that's problematic.
And there's only so many issues that you can have an opinion on, which is why, you appoint leaders to have opinions for you.
I can have an issue on every opinion. I can have an opinion on every
Yeah, but
issue.
we're not typical people.
Yeah, I am. I'm like the most average person out there.
Okay, so not everyone has an opinion on everything or has the time to properly research and make a well-informed decision on everything.
Sure, I think
So
most people don't make well-informed decisions.
Exactly, I would agree. So
I
therefore,
vote with my gut.
is the idea of like appointing someone, or the Electoral College appointing someone to make decisions for you on a general basis.
I think the problem is, and that's a problem here in Canada too, is that we've taken a lot of power away from our municipal and provincial governments.
Right.
Like,
and it's
less so in
going to be a
Canada?
seesaw motion though, back and forth constantly. It'll
Because in Canada,
swing both ways.
In Canada, still, we vote for an MP, a member of parliament, for our districts.
Yeah.
There's 330 something of them, districts in Canada, and you vote for your local representative, and then he votes. Or she. Well, that was weird.
in my district, it's a she, and it's been for a long time.
They vote for issues, for bills that come up. They vote, and historically, they typically vote the way the party leader does, but they don't always.
No.
And there's been many people, what's called crossing the aisle, where in our parliament there's like sections where the different MPs sit.
Yeah.
And crossing the aisle, quote, quote, quote. I don't think they physically do it anymore, but you like walk across the aisle to join the other party. Or in Canada, we have 5 major parties, plus shout out Jody Wilson-Raybould, who's an independent. We got, an independent MP. We have 5 other parties.
Oh, Trump just got 6 more votes.
Oh,
he
Trump
won
Kansas. Kansas.
Just Kansas, plain Kansas.
Do you think Kansas City, Missouri is better than Kansas City, Kansas?
Yeah, 100%.
Hot take. Me too. That's where Tech Nine's from.
Never been.
Kansas City, Missouri. Mac Lethal, Tech Nine, they're both from Kansas City,
Okay,
Missouri.
yeah, I'm on board. I've made my decision based on those 2 facts.
It's the same city.
Oh.
Hold on, more stuff's happening.
Republican wins Utah.
Democrat wins New York Congress. Republican. Governor of Utah is Republican. They do the state elections at the same time.
Oh yeah,
you pick the governor at the same time.
There's a lot of shit on the ballot.
Oh, because we pick our premier, which is the equivalent of a governor, at a different time. It's still every 4 years, but it's the opposite 4 years. So it's like every 2 years we have an election, either provincial or
midterm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, America's fucked. They don't
America
do that
is
in
fucked.
any.
Well, and there's a bunch
understandable
of plebiscites on a bunch of ballots in states about legalizing marijuana and stuff. Well, that's on the ballot as well.
Yeah.
I think there's also one in California they're doing right now about letting like Uber drivers and people like that have to be counted as employees, not contractors.
Yeah, that's been getting kicked around court to Congress.
They put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
Plebiscites are cool, I think.
Yeah.
Because we did one recently. We have this major intersection in Winnipeg here, Portage Avenue and Main Street. This giant intersection, and it's closed for pedestrians. You can't walk across it. There's big walls, and they wanted to open it up.
Yeah.
To for pedestrians and build crosswalks, and we did a citywide. You had to go in and it was on the municipal ballot.
Yeah.
No, was it, or was it separate? No, it was on the municipal ballot, right?
I don't remember.
Or was it its own thing?
It might have been its own thing.
Did we have to go? No, there's no way we went in just for that. We were voting for the mayor at the same time.
Was it mayor or was it something else?
We didn't do just that, right?
No, it wasn't just that,
No.
but it was on a ballot for something else.
The provincial government?
Might have been provincial.
Whatever. Anyway, but we went in and we voted for whether we should open this intersection or not.
Yeah, and that was funny because everyone
in downtown voted yes, and
Yeah,
then
that
everyone
was affected by it, and everyone that wasn't affected by it said no.
Because everyone outside of it, I voted no. What did you vote? You don't live here.
I don't think I voted.
You lived in Winkler at the time.
I don't.
So you couldn't even vote.
I don't think I have my address here. No.
Okay, I voted no because I drive through there every day, and someone did a study, and it would take like 8 more minutes a cycle, like all through, to like let people walk on all 4 sides.
So you're like that's why everyone like outside
I'm
wanted to drive through.
I'm slightly inconvenienced.
Right. But everyone downtown is like, I'm massively inconvenienced foot traffic
What about
wise
the
to walk
fucking?
around
You have like
this.
underground tunnels that go under it. Fuck off.
Right, but you have to go through these fucking dirty, sketchy tunnels.
And there's like no handicap accessible ones. Like,
Yeah, no, it's not good.
It's a whole thing.
And it basically kills any business that's on the street or walkable or
My-
storefront within 3 blocks of that area is
It's
just
all office
killed.
building. It's fine.
But
My point
that's
being,
that's why it's all office building, because you can't fucking have what downtown can't sustain a coffee shop on the sidewalk.
this is a weird city. My point being,
It's windy and cold.
my point being, voting like that is cool. That's democracy.
Yeah, 100%.
I like that.
And I'm gonna call back Lindsey Graham
Sure.
because
Why don't you tell us about Lindsey Graham while I go to the bathroom?
so my context on Lindsey Graham is very small. So basically, he I guess it was 2016 was famously quoted as a part of the vote to basically block Obama's administration from electing a new Supreme Court justice. And because it was within I think it was within 9 months of the election, they said this is not ethical in an election year to be electing a Supreme Court justice. It's, you're taking advantage of a situation. Let the voters decide this year who can be elected as Supreme Court justice by choosing their president. And he said, if it was us, that's what we would do. It's just the right thing to do. And then come this year, a feminist icon, liberal justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, dies, and within literal days of an election, they reelect their own justice. And he basically goes back on fucking everything he said and promised, and the principles of fucking everything they did that day, which I mean is not unusual for a politician to do, but
I'll politic
he was
you.
he was one of the main spokespeople for that, and he's like, yeah, no, forget what I said before. I know I said this is wrong, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So people just basically think he's a piece of shit, but obviously he got reelected, so it's fine. It's not like any politician ever got kicked out for blatantly contradicting himself.
So here's what I think we should do. Vote Willows.
Okay, that's where we're going with this. Vote Willows.
I think we should just yell at who's yell to see who they want to elected. Just be like, yell out your candidate, and they go Trump. And who? Yeah, it's like a fucking in a in a hockey game or whatever. Not a hockey game maybe, but like an America's Got Talent type situation where you're like, if you think Joe Biden won, clap now. Joe. Some Republican got U.S. Senate in Texas. And then it's like, if you think Trump won, say it now. Trump. And then they go, wow, the Trump was louder. So Trump wins because you made the more noise on the noise meter. That's the end of my story. You like my more noise on the noise meter version of
No, that was
solving
fucking
the
trash.
election? What do you mean?
Okay, so did we talk about why I hate the Republican Party?
Or did we talk about why I hate the Socialist Democrat Party?
No.
Republicans and Democrats are both socialists that disagree how to spend my money.
No, I agreed. No, here's how I hate the party specifically and what they pay for and do on a regular basis. So, not ideals or whatever, like specifically you did something shitty.
Unsurprisingly, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wins her House seat.
Nice.
Meh. Actually, honestly, I don't like her policies at all. And I don't really like her as a person, but I'm very much a fan of her doing she does an Instagram live every night while she's like cooking dinner and stuff, and like directly talks to her constituents. She's like streaming on Twitch and shit. Like,
oh, that's fun.
She's like connecting with voters in a way that I think in 2020 you're not voters but constituents specifically. Like, that's your fucking job, is to represent your constituents.
Yeah. And listen to them, communicate with them.
In no better way. So she does like Instagram lives all the time, and it's like I respect the new age approach to government.
On that note, let's talk about the exact opposite, which is
Mitch McConnell,
the general Republican effort to suppress voter rights.
I'll suppress tell us about suppressing voter rights. I gotta poop.
Oh my god. So these are typically very targeted efforts where, very specifically blue areas or, multicultural areas, Black, Latino, what have you. And their tactics range from, mail-in ballots are not counted if they're received after Election Day versus if they're sent or postmarked by Election Day. You have the removal of drop-off boxes for absentee ballots, which in some states they'll have like one drop-off box within like a 200-mile radius, which is insane, where you have to drive 200 miles to go drop off your fucking ballot. So that's contested, where the Republicans will be like, oh, you have 36 drop-off boxes? I think you should have 3 in your state. And that may or may not get passed in court. So roughly examples of the tactics, but across the U.S., there's like somewhere between like 200 and 400 lawsuits going on at all times. And on one side is, the Democratic side, which is like trying to expand the access to voting, when, more voter boxes, wider acceptance of mail-in ballots, more staff at polling stations, maybe even electronic polling, like whatever it may be, whatever the tactic is to increase the accessibility to votes for seniors, minorities, underrepresented peoples, new voters, and just the general ease of access to voting. Democrats are always fighting in favor of that. Republicans are in favor of less votes in general, especially for immigrants, undocumented immigrants, or just general minorities that they don't like or that don't like them. So that as a general tactic, I just think is absolutely fucking deplorable. And if in a democracy that's in your playbook, if you have to use that in your playbook, I think it's taken a fucking bridge too far. Like, the ends do not justify the means if the means is the people can't have a say. And if the people did have a say, they wouldn't like what I have to say. And I think that's fucking deplorable. And I had no idea this was even a thing that's been happening. It's been happening for longer than I've been alive. And yet it affects the effective vote of so many people. And beyond that, the actual voter turnout, like Willow said earlier, is extremely low. Like, the U.S. voter turnout rates are lower than some African countries. Like, you have not only voter suppression tactics in terms of legally people's ability to vote, But then you have the spread of misinformation and just generally discouraging people's ability to vote. So classically, Trump's rhetoric about massive, huge, impressive, whatever fucking adjectives, stupid language he uses to say there's massive voter fraud. There's thousands of ballots that are getting thrown in the trash. There's massive fraud, massive voter fraud, while mail-in ballots have been a thing for over 200 years in America. And there's never been a record of significant voter fraud within any reasonable margin. And yet he's saying all of a sudden this year, mail-in voting is now a partisan issue. Like, that's just goes to show the tip of the iceberg of what the Republican Party deploys in an effort to win. And for me, that just kind of strikes a chord of like, it's anti-democratic, which, I mean, do what you got to do to win, but I'd consider it a bridge too far. And at this point, it's pretty hard to forgive. And it even, in many ways for me, supersedes, like, what's my opinion about the Republican Party, the Democratic Party? What's my opinion of Biden versus Trump? It doesn't fucking matter. My opinion doesn't fucking matter. What matters is the ability for everyone to weigh in and have a fair election where everyone that is affected by the rules and the law of this government gets to have a say in how they are ruled. If that's a partisan issue, I'll always err on the side of everyone should get a vote. Not the landowners, not just the white men, not just the rich men, fucking everyone that's affected by that rule and that vote. Period. And I'll vote for the party, and I'll cheer for the party, because I don't actually have a vote in America because I'm not a fucking American. But I will always err on the side of that party. Period. Which I guess comes back to libertarianism, anarcho-capitalism, like personal freedom. And this is when I get into arguments with any family member, is I just generally agree in personal freedom. Because even if my father says, what, do you agree with abortion? Would you get an abortion? Like, would that happen? Would you allow that to happen in your relationship? And my only response is, it doesn't fucking matter what I think, because what I would do for myself shouldn't dictate the law. People should have the ability to choose.
Hello and welcome back to Alcohol Beyond This Point, episode 22 and a half, the special coverage of your Pakistani election. Poland election.
So,
do you know Poland is super right-wing?
Yeah, no, they're one of the strictest countries in Western society on abortion.
Yeah, like only more right by Hungary out of the EU. The rest is more left. Because I saw an article, and it was like, this is really recently, the president of Poland just ratified the bill or whatever to make abortion completely illegal. And I read that, I just saw that article on Twitter or whatever, and I'm like, I don't hear much about Poland anymore. Is Poland like right wing? Like, how did that happen? Look into it. Oh yeah, no, he made gay marriage illegal. He made it so gay people can't adopt kids, and then he just made abortion illegal. Obviously, Trump recently called him one of the best leaders in the European Union.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Great
Along
guy.
with the Brazilian
that guy
dictator
too.
president.
Got COVID, the Poland guy.
That's fine.
And it's
not
fine.
that serious.
It's fine. It's a flu. And yeah, I just and fun fact, he's actually an independent. He doesn't have a party.
Huh.
Yeah, which is not very common in.
No, not at all.
No. So, yeah, who knew? I guess maybe I'm just not a great globally educated, but yeah, I don't hear much about Poland over
here. Well, that's because you don't hang out with a lot of Polish people.
Do you?
No.
What the?
Yeah, it's really sliding in the direction of although the votes show 131 Biden, 98 Trump, with preliminary results, it really seems to be sliding in Trump's favor.
Ooh.
But again, like I mentioned earlier,
Fuck, we should have put...
there is the quote-unquote blue shift,
We should
and
have put
a lot
money.
of these states are very tight.
We should have put money on this. Fuck. We're finally disagreeing on something. No, it's too late now. Like,
Fuck you, it's too late. Put that back.
put what back?
Okay, so I vote that we break
Vote?
for a hot minute here.
You vote?
Yeah. Between the two of us, I have half the vote.
So what you're saying is democracy is cancer.
Yeah. So I vote that we take a break here. We're gonna watch some like live coverage, listen to like maybe Tucker Carlson or somebody fucking rant and rave and say some shit, and maybe see if there's any riots going on or any rootin' tootin' shooting good times.
And then we'll check back in once it's closer to 270.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not, right, like we said, we're not political commentators. This will be posted after the election, after you already know the results.
Much too late. Much too late.
We're just kind of doing a retrospect. That's why it's
Unless
like
there's civil war in 10 days.
Which,
in which
oh my
case,
God, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Go team.
While you're on the break, follow us on everything. My name is Willows. Vote Willows. VOTEWILOWS on everything. Twitter,
Really?
Instagram, Snapchat.
You're
Facebook.
plugging the pluggables mid podcast?
We're going on a break. This is a live stream, right? Tyler_the builder on Instagram.
Fuck off. All right.
See you in a bit.
Bye. Gross. Did you know you could stick your finger in the middle of a... So, we're back. And
hey, my name is Willows.
And I'm still Tyler.
So this is about 11 p.m. CST, 15 p.m. CST, midnight EST Eastern, right?
Yeah.
Midnight Eastern. And we were checking in here. Biden has 213 of the electoral votes, and Donald Trump has 136. You need 270 to win. They just minutes ago called Hawaii for Biden, no surprise there, and called Ohio for Donald Trump, which was in contention if
yeah, it was
serves.
like I think like 47-53 or something the last time I checked. So
shout out Joe Rogan. We were watching Joe Rogan's
and Tim Dillon. Thank you.
Yeah, we were watching Joe Rogan's live stream just before this. We ordered a pizza. You may see it on the video version if you're watching on this on YouTube on youtube.com/votewillows. You can watch the YouTube video version. But anyways, we were watching Joe Rogan's live stream of the event, and he had some sort of political guy on there. I don't know who he was, but he said this is probably going to come down to Pennsylvania because Trump's probably going to win Florida. And Biden, I think this was before Biden won California when we were watching it.
Yes.
And he was like, Biden's going to win California. So, and then all the, whatever, he was doing some math and it looked like Pennsylvania is going to be the swing state, which is, that's where Biden is from.
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't hold a lot of water.
It's funny because it's like...
It's hard to be a hero in your hometown.
Well, it's a meme because he's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, like where they shot The Office, the American version of The Office.
It's a pretty good meme.
But there's a couple other, Michigan and a couple other northern states there that are still very close.
And they're swinging blue, but not settled yet.
So we do still, I think both... Since when is Joe Biden a junior? Is that always a thing? Joseph R. Biden Jr.?
I'm not the right person to ask. That's the first time I've heard.
Guess...
Also, Obama Hussein is pretty good.
What's Obama's last name?
I think it's
I think
Hussein.
we'll never know.
It's probably Junior.
Sure. Anyway, but yeah, so I don't know. We're probably not. We're gonna come back tomorrow, definitely.
Yes.
This is Tuesday. Wednesday is our usual recording day. I didn't say this at the beginning. I meant to, but we missed a couple episodes because my laptop gave out on me.
Yeah.
And I bought a new one online and paid for like 1 day shipping. And it took 3 weeks to fucking get here.
Yay,
and I'm
COVID.
fucking mad about this. And I can't even like, I was bitching at them, and they're like, sorry. Like I went into the store because, well, I emailed the thing that says, hey, email us. And I emailed, didn't get a response in like 5 days. So I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to the store. So I went to the store, and I'm like, hey, I got this order, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, sorry, man, like our stores aren't connected to our web sales. I can't look up the number or anything. I'm like, fuck. He's like, but what I can do is give you a direct line rather than the 1-800, so you can like get through. And I'm like, perfect. So he gives me this phone number, and I call. Rings. It's like, we are experiencing more call volume than usual. Goodbye. Hangs up on me. I'm like, fuck off. Call the next day. Same thing.
Another red winner.
Oh, you're just more Congress.
Congressional district
in Texas. That's as to be
Republicans,
expected.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then like I was this close to charging back my credit card. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, fuck this.
I was encouraging you to, just for the fuck of it.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck this. And then like the next day it shipped, and I can't even be mad because I was gonna like charge back for the 2-day shipping thing, but from the time it got handed off to Purelator, the shipping company, it was here in 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like it was in Toronto. I got the text message to my phone. Hey, we picked you up from Toronto at like 6 p.m. last night.
Yeah.
Landed in Winnipeg at 3 a.m. Picked up from the fucking airport at 5 and was at my my shipping location by like 11.
Right. So you got the 2-day shipping.
Yeah, I got. It was less than 24 hours.
They just didn't move it out of the warehouse.
Yeah, but it said on their fucking site it was in stock and not on back order. Like, why the fuck did that take 2 weeks? Whatever. Whatever.
I just I subscribe to Dollar Shave Club, which is its entire premise is a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
And it's like, it says 4 to 6 days from your quote unquote ship date, which is every 30 days, you should receive your package. That was 23 days ago.
Oof.
And I have yet to get my first package. And I'm like, and I'm about to pay for my next one. I haven't received the first one. And I emailed them, email customer support, 5 days ago, and they said they had 24-hour response time. I have yet to hear back.
So if you want a sponsorship, Dollar Shave Club, fuck you.
Or
sponsor us, and we'll
one day ship it, and I'll take this back.
We'll take back everything we say.
That's to say, even the shavers are behind.
So here's the thing, though.
Why is everybody so fucked up right now? Is it understaffing?
Here's the thing. People are still buying wine from me online. On shrugdoc.com, SHRUGDOC, you can buy real Canadian wine, and we can ship anywhere in Canada.
Okay, grifter.
And people are still buying, and I'm getting my shipments out in 2 days.
Yeah, but
I'm shipping cross country right now during COVID. Fuck off.
Same red check mark. Sorry.
Like nothing is restricted. Fuck off.
Yeah, like what is holding?
Going out of the fucking post office.
Is it? I
gave you $2,000 for a laptop. You can't fucking ship it. Fuck off. Like,
is it supply issues though? Like
well,
that's the flip side. Is there supply that's coming?
Then you should have on your website that this is in fucking back order.
Right.
Don't let me buy something expecting that it's going to be there.
Yeah. Say 2-day shipping. Say 2-day shipping and take 12 days to put it in a box.
Because if they were upfront with that and said it's going to take 12 days. I would have been like, yeah, word, okay, it's COVID, I get it. Don't let me select 2-day shipping and then not have it be 2-day shipping. Fuck off.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have a laptop again. So I have a computer again. So here we are recording this. And Wednesday is our usual recording day, which is tomorrow. So we're going to get back together and reevaluate. I think I'm probably going to wake up to results of this election.
I hope so, but
I think so, right?
We'll wake up to something
because you're saying I think we were talking about it off air that they typically can statistically call the election before they count everything because you've won before they count every vote.
Yeah, but more than likely this
is going to be super tight.
Whichever districts are super tight at the end of the night are going to be there's going to be lawsuits and counter lawsuits and counter lawsuits. And
So do they not? So okay,
the only way to decide this by tomorrow is a landslide in either way.
Which is probably not going to happen.
When I say landslide, I mean like you need like 5 points in either direction.
But
Or
so say
like 20 seats.
Say Biden wins, right?
Yeah.
And Trump sues. And then the Supreme Court says, yeah, that was fraudulent. But Biden's been president for like... Oh, no, but they're not president for months,
No,
right?
they don't get inaugurated for like 80 days, 79 days. Inauguration is 79 days away from election.
It seems late, right?
No, it's 79 days.
I know. But in this country, I think it's way sooner than that, right?
Yeah, I think
Aren't you
so.
just prime minister like next day?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
so.
Don't trust us. We're not political pundits. But
we're also... I'm kind of in talk...
Trump wins Montana.
Trump takes Montana, to no one's surprise. 213 to 139. You need 270 to win.
Democrat takes New Jersey's 7th district.
Congress, yeah. If you're watching the YouTube video version, you'll notice there's a lot more bottles on the table now. I'm kind of intoxicated.
I'm not.
Yeah, I know. You've been cutting back because you want to drive home.
And I also ate half a pizza, and I work for a living, so...
I don't work for a living. I'm drunk for a living.
Yeah. Well.
Shout out Drunk for a Living, my hip-hop album. Coming out soon. I'm not even kidding. Coming out soon. Stay tuned.
Yeah, the new laptop made it happen.
Dead in the middle of Little Italy, little did we know that we riddled some middleman who didn't do diddly.
That's the only bar that he's ever stolen and can recite.
Shout out Big Pun.
I think that we're going to have an interesting night no matter what. I'm like low-key hoping there's going to be something dramatic, but also hoping that nothing happens.
What if we wake up and like 100,000 people are dead from Civil War? Like it's fucking like militias came out, like everyone's dead. Like
it could happen.
Here's
the funny part about like Trump versus your regular fascist dictator is usually
my common fascist dictator.
Your common fascist dictator usually has the support of the military and at the least like usually comes from the military.
But Trump doesn't really have support of the military, right?
Right. No, he like has cited quote unquote fucking bone spurs I can't fight, which I
respect.
Which is basically like what rich white people say when they don't want to fight.
I respect. Honestly,
sure.
I don't like much about Trump, but the fact that
he got out of the draft,
it like makes like I respect a lot.
Right, which is kind of the same sect of people that are like, oh, he didn't pay taxes, good for him.
Yeah. Oh, he's fucking porn stars, like.
Yeah,
dude,
no, they're
that's
okay.
like my favorite things about him.
Anyways,
he doesn't give a fuck. He's fucking porn stars. He got out of the draft. He's not paying taxes. That's what I want to do with my life.
Exactly.
But he's a failed businessman.
He's fucking bad at business.
He's bad at business. That's what I don't respect. He's kind of a dick.
He's very bad at
business. You can be nice if you want. You could be nice.
Anyway, I was gonna say, in order for like military coups or dictatorships or an authoritarian rule to be effective, you need the military.
Yeah.
You need the military. That is the key part, and it has been widely shared that none of his generals either like follow him or respect him or take him seriously. Like they think he's a fucking joke, and he repeatedly disrespects them.
Well, because wasn't like Mattis or whatever was like a super well respected general. Like everyone loved this guy, and Trump like fired him.
Yeah, and in front of this other general, he's like,
these losers.
These dead soldiers
I thought that was a fake. Because it was like an unreported source, like unverified.
It's widely understood as true, but the general himself has yet, like the only thing, left from this being true is like the general himself officially stating.
Why would Trump say that though? That doesn't add up to me.
This general gave an interview and said this.
Who?
I can't remember.
What are we talking about?
The general that Trump said this shit to.
Okay.
Like came out or like did an interview and said like on the record, this is what Trump said to me.
That like and these guys in the graveyard were losers or something.
Yeah, and
Why would he say that?
That was the graveyard where his son was buried.
Why would he say that?
He said that in multiple occasions.
Why?
Because that's what he fucking thinks.
But he's the president.
Doesn't matter.
He thinks the soldiers are losers?
I think there was
It doesn't add up to me. I don't get
no,
it. Why would he say
exactly.
that?
It doesn't make any sense. So there's several instances. I think another one was he was in.
Sounds like fake news to me.
He was in Europe, doing some kind of tour. I don't know if it was like fucking G20 summit or whatever.
Sure.
But
hold on. Trump just won Iowa, up to 145. And yeah, Democrat wins the Senate seat in New Mexico.
So he was in Europe during the summit, whatever, and typically traditions of presidents is they go to World War memorials, and they go and like especially in countries
being in Europe,
right, and especially in countries where like LGBT rights are not very strong, they'll go on their way back to the airport. They'll go to like some hotel and they'll like do a support rally with like an LGBT group or something like that.
I was gonna say gay orgy.
Yeah, to like show solidarity for, you know, liberation and freedom of the people, whatever, of this country. So when he was offered to like, hey, there's this, you know, World War II memorial ceremony at this graveyard of this memorial site, he's like, why would I go? He's like, why would I go to this graveyard? He's like, that graveyard is full of suckers and losers. Those guys fucking lost. Like, why would I go to a grave?
I thought that wasn't like
verified
verified though. Like...
No, this was a completely different instance.
Okay.
Years earlier. Like, there's like 5 or 6 of these instances where he said that about dead soldiers.
I thought he was like
it's a
really.
pattern.
I thought he was really pro like American interventionism and stuff. Like he was like, yeah, rah rah, like let's go fuck up. Bomb the shit out of ISIS and shit. Like
no, he's very like anti proxy war. He's like
so am I.
He's like anti like spending money on fighting racism.
Yeah, so am I.
Which is ironic because he's done nothing to reduce that, and all he's done is basically he's basically instead of saying we're gonna fight proxy wars, no, we're just gonna give a bunch of weapons to people that are gonna do it for us, which is here's exactly the same result.
I just want to clear the air just so I don't get labeled a fucking white supremacist. I'm pretty anti-war in general, but I also acknowledge and respect the lives lost. Like I took it off, but I was wearing a poppy earlier because it's November.
Mine is here somewhere.
But I respect, especially World War II. Like that was a just war.
Yeah, that was a real war.
That was a real like.
Nobody argues. Well,
some people.
There's actually a lot of people that do.
Yeah, but you know, World War II especially.
A couple Republican candidates that.
The reason why we wear poppies and we have Remembrance Day in Canada, is it's not celebrating war. It's saying lest we forget what people sacrificed
and how much it costs.
How much it costs, and let's not make the same mistakes.
Period.
But in America, it's fucking Veterans Day, and you get fucking sales on pancakes, and fucking Walmart gives you free shit if you wear your uniform and shit. Like, it's celebrating war.
Yeah.
And I think war is bad. I think that the military is bad. I think that going and killing people for any reason is bad. And I don't think there's any proof that intervening in the Middle East is preventing terrorism. I think that's
never.
I think that's the reason why terrorism happens.
Over 1,000 years of history, never has a
going
war
to somebody else's country and killing them prevented a war.
Like I think Great Britain they invaded Afghanistan 3 times before they learned their lesson.
Britain did, Russia did too. Yeah,
nobody everyone loses.
Well, so
including the people that are there.
Here's the thing: is like you bomb people. You know, you invade a country and you kill them, and then their kids come back 20 years later as terrorists in quotations because you killed their fucking parents. Like,
well, even beyond that, like these wars are predominantly fought. Like the troops that we have there are maybe 20% of the active fighters in an area. The other 80% are people that are trained, armed, and funded by our countries. Like, see, this is
Canada doesn't have a ton of active troops anywhere, but we have a ton of. We're giving Saudi Arabia weapons. we're funding a bunch of fucking.
Well, this is the phenomenon of like the military-industrial complex where like private companies can bring
Shut
it,
up, Halberd.
right?
Shut up.
Eric Prince.
Yeah. Shut up, Dick Cheney.
Yeah, these companies can bring in private mercenaries, and see, this is why death tolls are
Because
so.
there's no laws over there. Like.
No. This is why death tolls are so low, because our national laws dictate that when they're in these proxy wars, they have to report their deaths, right?
Yeah.
But if they pay a private contractor
To do it.
to hire some Sudanese people
Yeah.
to
Kill each other.
go into all the high-risk situations and die by the road bombs, they legally don't have to report those deaths.
When I
So
also
even if there's thousands of people getting killed, it shows up as 3 Americans died, even though 1,000 Sudanese
that we're
mercenaries
funding.
paid for by America for America's interests were
When
killed.
like
It's fucked up.
every death in a in like a contested place is counted as a combat death, even if it's a civilian. It's still counted as a combat death.
Yeah, but they legally
because,
don't have to count it if
no,
they
no,
don't
but
want
like
to.
because you're in a war, in quotations, it's a combat death technically. So they can like kill civilians, and it's like, oh no, it's a war. So I disagree with war, but I also think that like this is gonna sound bad. I'm gonna get flack for this probably, but I think a lot of people in the military are being manipulated. I don't.
Oh, you mean that they tell you what to think, when to think
Well,
it, and
no,
how
no.
to think it, and how hard to think it?
I've told this story 100 times. I've told this story a bunch of times, but there's a kid I went to high school with that was like a Call of Duty pro. Like he went to tournaments playing Call of Duty, like the video game, and he ended up joining the military right when he turned 18.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of people are being manipulated into thinking that the military is like this all right, like just great, like helping everyone, defending from terrorists, like all this shit. And I really don't believe that. I think they're instruments of a government that doesn't give a fuck about them. And I feel bad for them. But at the same time, I don't like disrespect. I always have the mentality, you can tell me if you disagree, but I have the mentality of like when someone's dead, it's kind of over.
Yeah.
Like even people I hate, it's like once they're dead, it's like, okay, whatever. Like I stop thinking about them, right? I know a few people are like,
Just showing Willows, the betting odds are swinging back closer to 50-50.
yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah,
no, like,
still
look,
favoring Trump though.
here,
But
look. The headline, though, it's swinging back.
I think a lot of people are like, I can still feel bad.
He was at 75.
Okay. I can still feel bad for people being killed, even if I don't respect them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
100%.
like if I've had enemies.
It's because you're fucking human.
Yeah, if I have enemies and they die, unfortunately, it's like, well, it still sucks. But like, I don't really speak ill on dead people's names because what are you trying to gain? Like they're dead.
Right, but that's the thing that like Trump has failed to do, which is why people are dunking on him so much, because it's not a hard thing to say, I respect the people that died in this war.
Yeah.
He can't do that.
Sure.
Like, he can't even shut it off for long enough to be like, okay, yeah. And like,
But then,
do
like,
the
I
presidential
I also
/political
understand
thing.
that because I'm very opinion. I'm like, fuck these troops.
I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm just saying he doesn't do it, and therefore, his brevity is getting him into trouble. Like,
where
so he doesn't have the support of the military. Like, he won't have.
he
doesn't-
can't have a coup.
Exactly. He doesn't have a path to a coup
Could you
because nobody fucking respects him.
Could you fucking imagine?
That'd be
if
the most
you-
insane coup
if
ever.
the United States had a fucking military coup.
It'd be such a massive move. Like, there's
Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
It's such a big organization. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't think it is possible either. No.
No, it's
I don't.
it's not possible.
No.
It's too big
It's
of
too
an
many people here.
organization.
It's just too many people. Because what are you doing? Like, what you're getting half the population to kill the other half of the population?
That's basically what you're doing, because like half the population knows somebody in the military and vice versa.
Like, it works in these tiny countries like Grenada and shit where you can go in and fuck with them.
You need like 50 officers and like a couple corporals.
And you take over the fucking
generals,
equivalent of the White House and the palace and fucking put your guy
but here
in.
if you had, 50 corporals, lieutenants, and a couple of generals, you still don't have as many guns as the Proud Boys.
Yeah, the militias.
Period.
The militias in America.
As Antifa.
Do you think there's...
They're not really well armed, honestly.
Do you think there's... Is there like left-wing militias in America?
Not as well armed.
There's a ton... I follow...
It's just not fundamental to the belief.
But I always talk about how I follow a lot of left-wing and far-right-wing stuff just to challenge myself.
Yeah.
And I follow a ton of left-wing... not militia pages, but like left-wing, like if fascism gets worse, we're shooting people.
Yeah.
That are like, the banner of one of these groups I'm in is like, armed minorities are harder to oppress.
Yeah.
Shit like that, where they're like, no, we are gun owners, we are legal gun owners, but we are fucking Democrat voting because we are anti-fascists. We're going to kill you if you are a Nazi. Like, we are armed. Like, there's I'm in a few groups like that. I just don't know if they're organized. Like, because
I forget the name. I forget the name of the group, but it's like it's basically a black militia. But they basically show up.
Well, I mean, the Panthers were fucking communist, right?
These guys basically show up and open carry assault rifles to protest, like, Unite the Right shit.
Yeah. And which is funny because the Unite the Right shit is like, we should have open carry, and then black people show up. Remember, I think I've said this on here before.
The spokesman is like, yeah, I'm going to show up with a gun, and I'm going to be more threatening because I'm black.
Yeah, and the NRA opposed gun rights. Like, they wanted more licensing.
Yeah.
When the Black Panthers were a thing.
Right.
Because these black people were just buying guns at gun stores and not registering them because you don't have to or whatever. And they're like, you know what? Maybe we should have a registration thing.
Yeah, like when it's not in our favor.
Yeah, it's like as soon as fucking minorities have guns, then you don't want it anymore, right? But I think, I don't know, I'm so split on the gun thing. Like, as a Canadian, we don't really have a culture of firearms here.
No, we don't, but they do. And I think it's integral to American culture. Like,
sure, but talk about here for a second.
I think Canada's doing it right for the most part. I mean, Trudeau's whatever policies that he dropped and like suddenly banning a bunch of guns because of that one shooting.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a knee jerk.
I don't want to get into a conspiracy corner with Willows, but this most recent mass shooting that we had, which was I think the worst mass shooting we've ever had in Nova Scotia, where the guy killed a bunch of people. He went out burning houses and killing people. They have a video of him at a like Brinks warehouse taking out like $500,000 cash in a duffel bag.
Oh yeah, no, he was effectively like a paid federal informant.
Yeah. So what happened? So if you don't know. It was in Nova Scotia. It was in the Maritimes, in our eastern provinces. This guy went on a gun rampage, killed a lot of people, 20 plus people, I think.
Yeah.
Just going pretty much house to house, killing people, like whatever. With illegal weapons in Canada, you can't have assault weapons, you can't have automatic weapons. And he had these weapons. He killed a bunch of people. But then later, and this is not like a conspiracy theory. This is on the news.
Even the police RCMP officials have admitted to this.
What I'm about to say is that he was in this I think it was Brinks bank or whatever that people can't just walk into.
Yeah.
It's like a corporate bank or whatever.
Yeah, you can only withdraw money from here
if you're like a government person.
You're a member of the police.
You have like a card that you can get in.
Or a bank manager.
Trump's up to 174. He just won Florida. That was one of the big ones.
What?
Trump just won Florida.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Anyway, So the shooter in Canada, they have him on security camera. They like police released this. This is not a conspiracy. Taking out like a duffel bag of $500,000 cash or $200,000 cash, whatever it was, from this bank that only government people are able to access.
And like he needs explicit authorization from his handler
to like get that
money. Like
and
like the member of the RCMP has to call ahead and be like, "Yo, this guy's taking out this much money."
Well, and then he like threw it in a car with no license plates or something.
And it was a imitation police car.
And then like walked away.
Yeah.
From the car, which is then I was watching like the global news coverage of it or whatever, and they were interviewing a former RCMP officer, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That's our
equivalents of FBI, NSA all combined.
Yeah, we have our FBI is combined with
DOJ, NSA, like it's
they're
everything.
the federal policing.
Period.
Yeah. They had a former RCMP officer interviewed, and he's like, yeah, that's how we do dead drops.
Yeah.
That's how we do dead drops for informants and shit, is like trunk of a car, left it, whatever. So this happened, and then we haven't heard, and then immediately after, our prime minister pushes through a bunch of gun bans.
Yeah.
Because this happened. Like, I am big on conspiracies, but I'm also like to think I'm pretty grounded in reality. I joke a lot about the fucking Illuminati lizard people and shit, but like, whatever. This is no. When he was a cop, right? The shooter had I think it was like a former police officer or something.
No.
He had like a cop car, didn't he?
He had an imitation cop car, but he wasn't a cop. No, he was basically what you would call like a confidential. He's like a CI. He's a paid informant for the police. So he's basically employed by the police, but he's not like he came in, he was trained as a police officer. No, he came in as a criminal, became a confidential paid informant.
What do you think this is?
What they believe is this is basically like, think about, like, do you personally know anybody that served long term as an undercover cop?
No.
I know one.
Okay.
And you get fucked up.
I can imagine.
Even if you come in as the good guy.
I've watched a lot
You serve 20 years as a good cop.
Shout out.
And then you go undercover.
Shout out Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed. He got fucked up as an undercover cop.
Exactly. No, you get fucked up as an undercover cop.
Republican governor just won Montana. No surprise.
Yeah,
I can imagine. I can imagine.
The theory is that, and
he just got PTSD, got fucked up.
There's a lot of evidence of the fact that this guy was like unstable.
Of course.
And
aren't we all?
The fact that like he's got some criminal tendencies kind of makes him a more effective CI.
Because he's able to break the law to get in with these people.
No, he's like legitimately a bad dude.
No. Well,
but
it's like
just good enough to be manipulated.
If you're like an undercover cop, you're allowed to like commit felonies.
Right.
As long as you don't like kill people, you're allowed to like beat the shit out of people.
So
you're allowed
think
to,
about this on like a huge
sell drugs and shit.
This is why a lot of these cabal theories fall apart, because as soon as you look at this on a really human level, it actually checks out.
He's just insane.
You just like, okay, there's this guy, he's a lifelong criminal, becomes a paid informant, which gives him access to a lot of money.
Sure.
And kind of an
if he's a paid informant, then why isn't the RCMP telling us that?
Well,
sorry guys.
Well, they did say we were working with him.
No, I don't think they ever officially said that.
No, I'm pretty sure they
did.
I'm
100% sure they didn't.
Then why did they explain that he got the dead drop?
That was like a former RCMP officer they interviewed that said like, "Oh yeah, that's how we do it."
Okay, there's definitely later statements.
There's like I'm like 100% sure.
Yeah, no, you're right that a retired guy said that, but that was like before the RCMP made a statement.
I don't think they did.
So RCMP never said anything?
Not about that. I don't think so. Not specifically.
I think you're wrong.
Jamie. Okay. My point was I'm leading into Trudeau banned a bunch of guns because of that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like we don't have the same firearm culture in this country. Like we have a pretty strict gun regulation. Like You can't have anything automatic. You can't even have a handgun here, can you?
Yeah, you can.
But it's a restricted.
Yeah.
So we have like restricted, and then what's the other one?
You can't just like openly carry it though.
No, never. But we have restricted, and then what's the other one?
Restricted
There's like two
license.
levels.
Yeah, it's just like a restricted license and then like a basic PAL. Like you can own like hunting rifles and shit.
Oh yeah, okay. So you can hunting rifles and shotguns are their own class.
Like long guns.
Long guns are their own
like
class.
not good for killing people.
Yeah, like rifles, bolt action things, shotguns.
It's limited by like kilojoules or gigajoules or whatever the amount of joules.
That was my
like
nickname in high
basically
school.
Like size of round versus muzzle velocity.
Sure.
That's also restricted to a certain amount, where like you can't have a rifle, like you can have a long gun and a hunting rifle, but like not one that's so powerful that you could like take out a Humvee.
And you can't have it with ammo. You have to have it separate. It has to be like in a safe,
And
the ammo has to be in a different safe.
Yeah, and for certain guns, like if you're going to transport it from your home to somewhere else,
You have to file a report with the police that says you're going from this, like your house to this gun range, and you're going to take this route. And even if they pull you over because there's construction and you had to go down a different road, they can still arrest you.
Yeah.
You have to it'd be very strict laws. The only way you're able to open carry a gun, you're never allowed to conceal carry. The only people that have concealed carry license in this country are the people that guard the prime minister and people that guard like bank trucks.
Yeah.
Are allowed to like carry guns. The only way you're able to open carry is on your land in rural Canada on a farm, because we have a fuck ton of bears and shit.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have a shotgun ready to go as long as you're on your land. It has to be like a certain distance away from like a major city.
Yeah, which is fair because like the way I see it,
people do get attacked by fucking bears and shit here.
you can still own your guns, because the moment that you need your gun like to fight back against the government, or you
can go get it out of the
anarchy
safe
or whatever, like you can go to the safe and break the law. You
Yeah.
can like pull out your handgun, take it in your truck, and break the law. When it gets to that point where like the law is no longer going to save you, you have access to your
You'd
gun.
break
and
the
you
law.
can,
Yeah,
right.
fuck it.
So
What do you? But I think a lot of Americans say like the reason even you making me register the gun is a breach of my Second Amendment right or whatever.
right, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're technically wrong.
Like I follow some,
but I'm going to say, like, what are the consequences of that right being enforced for everyone?
I follow some like libertarian pages that are like, the fact that I can't buy a missile launcher on Amazon is evidence that you've already restricted my rights.
Right. Which is like, why is needing a missile launcher,
well, and then
important to your abilities to function?
The counter argument would be like, it doesn't matter what the fuck I need. I'm allowed to do it.
Right. But
why do you need to eat a cheeseburger? Why do you need to drive a car? You don't need to do it.
I don't think you can equate cheeseburgers to missile launchers.
Okay,
But that's just me.
Well, but that's the argument, is that I don't know. I don't really believe this either.
It is an argument.
The argument is like,
it's a bad
why do
one.
you need to drive a car? You can just walk everywhere.
But
I don't need a
things
gun.
are far apart because it's a very large country.
Okay, well, whatever. You know what I mean, though. Like,
Things are far apart here.
okay, well, whatever. We don't have a right to firearms in this country.
We do have a right to firearms. We're just not unrestricted.
No, we don't have a right. That's our constitution.
Right. Correct.
We are able to purchase firearms.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's such a? Do you think it's just because of the history of the U.S. and how they fought for everything? Like,
I think the general consensus on that side of things is people, for the last 200 years and every year since, every election, fucking every year, everything that happens,
Democrats go take your guns.
Exactly. They believe Democrats are going to take your guns, therefore take your rights, take your freedom, and then like take your America and turn it into Joe Biden's America.
Well, because I always hear the people that took away your guns. Hitler took away your guns. Mao Zedong took away your guns. before they genocided you.
Right. So those beliefs survive on fear of Armageddon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like Alex Jones' audience, like
1776 will commence again.
There's a reason that his income is from like supplements and survival food. Not
Shout
like
out Alex Jones. I love Alex Jones.
Not like protein shakes and nice cars. Like, no, we're like survival food. Like, you're gonna die tomorrow. Like,
well,
you're gonna fucking die if you don't have 20,000 rounds of ammunition and 42 guns.
I read a great meme,
which is insane because can usually like hold your thought. Yeah. The average American that owns guns is not going to be effective enough of a fighter to actually discharge that many rounds. Odds are you'll get off 8, you'll be killed, and your enemy's going to take your gun and take your bullets.
And I always make the, like, you're going to go up against a tyrannical government, they're going to drone strike you.
Yeah, you don't stand a fucking chance. It's an illusion. It's an illusion of power.
Well, and then the counter, and like, I think a lot of people will be rolling their eyes at me because I'm a, like, pretty libertarian leaning person, but I'm also like, you like to consider myself pretty like humanist and like pretty like just don't shoot people, fuck off, like, you know.
Why do you need 20,000 rounds?
There's a great Jim Jeffries bit, Australian comedian, where he's like, yeah, I don't get this whole Second Amendment thing whenever he's talking about guns. He's like I had a gun and someone broke into my house in like England. He was like living in whatever, and he had a gun, and he was like, so someone broke into my house. I was naked at the time. You know, I wasn't just standing by the window with my gun pointed at it, waiting for cunts to break in with a machete. Like, you know. Yeah. And then he's like, I'm gonna run over to the safe and be like, you just wait there, yo, you broke in the wrong fucking house. He's like pretending to like move the safe. He's like, honey, is it 1347-6 or what? Your mother's birthday? How the fuck should I know your mother's birthday? Like, he's like, whatever. But the other part of that bit, and then I'll get off of it just quoting other people, is that people always talk about, well, criminals don't obey gun laws. So you restrict gun laws, criminals still get the guns, right? And then Jim Jeffries' point, and then I'll tell my own story about this, is that he's like, what is this? Okay, he's like, Sandy Hook shooter, Parkland shooter, right? These are his words, not mine. He's like, they're autistic as fuck. Like, you think they're just walking down to the docks and being like, guns? Anyone got a gun? Can I buy a gun? Like, you can't just do that, right? We're these fucking people. Like, if you had gun laws where their fucking dads couldn't buy guns at the store, they couldn't have stolen them, right? You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever tried to purchase a firearm illegally on the black market.
Not recently, no.
I have. They are prohibitively expensive in this country, in Canada.
Yeah, no, the gun store in Winkler got like hella robbed, and I assume they got a lot of money out of those guns.
So, I'm not gonna snitch on myself too much, looking in the camera, but I've been, not anymore. I'm a respected businessman now. Well, I try to be. I've been in a situation with some, I've been involved with drugs before. I've been around crime. Like, I've been there. And I've been around people that sell firearms that have been, like, stolen from the fucking... I met a guy one time that showed me a bag of grenades that someone had stolen from the Canadian military.
Oh, jeez.
And it was like $50 a piece. Like, fucking...
That's a good deal.
Fragmentation grenades. Like,
that's a really good deal.
My cousin was a police officer with the Winnipeg Police. He said these fucking guys have they broke into a drug house one time. They had a turret, like a fucking 50 cal, the things you mount on top of Jeeps, mounted in the living room, like bolted to the fucking floor, pointing at the door. Yeah. These people are like, you can get shit if you try.
That's a common practice of like these drug dens. It's like they call it like the the alley of death or whatever. They basically
hallway where you
they
just
turn the front of the house basically into like a valley of death, which is why they use these giant militarized like armored personnel carriers to like smash in the front door of these houses because they have this fucking 50 cal machine gun behind the door.
And I'm against
enough.
I'm against militarizing police because you know what would solve this? Decriminalizing drugs. Then drug dealers wouldn't have guns, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because drug dealers wouldn't exist. Because you know who drug dealers are? 19-year-old liberal arts students with fucking septum piercings selling you drugs at a fucking Apple store.
Yeah, it's like, it's like us fighting proxy wars against the people we gave guns to.
Yeah.
They're like, they're super dangerous. They're a threat. Because we gave them dangerous weapons.
Take away their income, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but I've met these people before. I've been there. And you try to buy a handgun with the serial number scratched off of it, you're paying thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Typically. You can always find good deals with,
But that's Canada.
Because if you get caught with a handgun, you get 8 years in prison.
Yeah. Like just any handgun. That's not...
Even if you use a pellet gun for a violent crime...
That looks like a handgun?
You get like 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which someone did to me. They pulled pulled a pellet gun that looked like a real gun.
Yeah.
And, effectively armed robbery against me in like a mugging situation. And he would have been charged as if it was a real handgun, whether or not it was a real handgun.
Yes.
Which is, I think, pretty great. Because, in my opinion, at the moment, it was super real.
Exactly. Yeah, we have pretty strict gun laws here. And is anyone really pissed about that? That's never an issue.
No. Well, it is to some people.
But I mean like in elections.
Not that big, no.
No one cares a shit.
Not that much.
Everyone that wants to get a gun does the course.
Gets the gun.
And gets the gun.
It's not that
like
hard.
Not really a problem.
No.
And we don't really have shootings here.
No.
Like before this guy recently in Atlanta, Canada, the last shooting we had was FLQ, I think. Before FLQ, we had that shooting at that Ontario, Quebec University. It killed like 4 people. That was like our only school shooting.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was in the 90s. Well, and then FLQ was
few enough that I don't know.
Yeah, the FLQ was Front de Liberation Quebec, which was a far-left Quebec separatist group. They kidnapped a member of parliament and his daughter and killed them. This was a whole domestic terrorism situation. That was when Trudeau Sr. was in power. What's his name? Trudeau... Pierre Elliott Trudeau. That was the famous Just Watch Me press thing, where they're like he was like going to declare martial law, and the media's like, you can't just declare martial law, and he said, just watch me.
Yeah.
To like deal with this. It was a terrorist situation.
Notoriously like tough.
Yeah.
Prime Minister.
These far left communist terrorists were fucking with Quebec for a while. They're killing people and robbing banks and shit.
And they squashed it.
Yeah, we fucked it up. Yeah. But, I think they were shooting people. They had a bomb as well or something like that. Oof. But whatever. But we don't have a ton of... But America's like a school shooting every week or something, right?
It's not good.
Something ridiculous.
Well, hey, side benefit of COVID is there hasn't been a school shooting in a while. It's like those...
That was like the worst thing ever. It's like, this is the longest time
the work from home memes. It's like school shooters are sitting there just like pointing a gun at their dog.
Well, it's like this is the longest America's gone with a school shooting in like 50 years or something because of COVID.
Oof. Yeah. I think that was announced like in spring when we had just started lockdowns.
That's ridiculous. Like, it's sad. It's fucking sad.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Because we don't exactly have a great mental health program here.
Well, yeah, I think you should combine fucked up culture with
the
easy access to guns. And just like it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're like, oh, a school shooting will get you a ton of attention.
Press, yeah.
Therefore, it's like in a lot of people's heads. Therefore, it happens more.
Well, the first person I ever saw do this was Philip DeFranco, who's like a YouTube news guy.
Yeah.
He made sure that him and all the channels under him, like he has this like source-fed like news network or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He made sure that nobody ever reports the name of the school shooter.
Yeah, that's becoming a lot more common.
That was the first time I ever saw it, was him do it. And then on the other, he's a left-leaning guy, but on the other side, Ben Shapiro, who's a super right-wing guy on the Daily Wire, he did the same thing, where they don't report the name, they don't report the image.
Yeah.
They just say, yeah, this piece of shit killed whatever, and then they name the victims.
Yeah, and they don't talk about their manifesto or why or what or how.
It doesn't matter, because CNN and fucking Fox News, both left and right, were fucking like glorifying them almost. Where these new kids wanted to kill more people because they're like, whoa, I want to be like the Columbine kids. Because the Columbine kids got so much fucking press, that, they wanted to be famous too, kind of thing, right? So I respect the news organizations, and I, implore more news organizations to not name, not publish, not give the face of any. Joe Biden just won Minnesota. Puts him up to 223 out of 270.
That's
to Biden,
close to
Donald Trump's 174.
And he has 49.7 of the popular vote. Trump is 48.6. Like, you're within 1 percentile. This is fucking close.
Yeah.
So here's one of the points that was made.
It's going to be closer than Clinton and Trump, I think.
Yeah, this was one of the points made by that the left-wing pundit guy on Rogan's podcast was, no matter what happens, like, if Biden wins by any less than like
8%,
closing with 300 electoral votes,
the polls were way off.
Yeah, Trump's beat the polls, and like everyone thought Trump was going to beat the polls, but it's a question of like by how much. So
why do you think the polls are so wrong? We kind of talked about this off air.
Yeah, I think people
Democrats are answering the polls and Republicans aren't.
Yeah, or people that are Trump supporters are not willing to share it because I guess there's a lot of negative connotations to supporting Trump. They're like, oh, if you support Trump, you're racist.
I just saw recently in the YouTube sphere where there was a few YouTubers, I won't name them all, but namely Keemstar, who came out and said like, yeah, I'm voting for fucking Trump because I'm not paying 63% fucking tax. You see 50 Cent
yeah,
being like, I don't want to be 25 cent, fuck, like, I'm voting for Trump, whatever. And Lil Wayne came out and Lil Pump, they all, voted for Trump. And these are a lot of people that are literally, and so these are people that are being vocal about it. But I think there's a lot of people that are like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell my friends and family I'm voting for Trump, but I'm not paying fucking 63% tax.
Yeah, but they're not realizing that's like the cumulative effective income tax rate if you make more than like $500,000 a year.
Yeah, but a lot of YouTubers do make more than $500,000 a year.
That's fair. Like these celebrities, yes.
Like everyone I just listed are.
Right. Yeah. But the average citizen, like 95% of Americans are not going to be affected by any tax hikes.
Sure, but I think a lot of people are like, okay, well, I'm not paying more taxes, but I don't want my family to call me a racist. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say I'm gonna vote for Biden, but actually,
pick your issue, right?
Closeted Trump voters.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Pick your issue, and yeah, there's a lot of closeted voters out there because
it's so interesting that people.
You gotta remember, like all the shit that Trump said, like basically shoot peaceful protesters. Is like encouraging violence. Like there's so many things that have happened in the last 6 months alone. You can't even I wouldn't even be able to.
But then I'll counter argument with Biden being instrumental in a lot of legislation that punished a lot of minorities for nonviolent drug offenses.
Right.
Him and Kamala both have locked up thousands thousands of people of color for nonviolent drug offenses.
Right, but if you also look at the track record, Biden's been like, I'm fucking sorry this didn't work well for like for like more than 10 years.
Yeah, he did apologize.
He's been on the record against it.
He did apologize for something, but
he's been talking about decriminalizing drugs for like 15 years.
And then I'll counterpoint with like the Nazis that were at the Nuremberg trials that were saying, I'm so sorry, like it was a mistake, we were caught up, like
okay,
we still fucking executed
that's
them.
A fucking long haul to try and...
I don't know, man.
That's a very long stretch.
I think
you gotta admit, that's a long stretch.
No, I think the amount
You're like, oh, the Nazis are exactly like Biden because they changed their minds.
I think the amount of black people, Native Americans, and Hispanic people that we have put in jail and ruined their lives and that have died because of policies from Democrat people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is tantamount to a genocide.
Okay, I would counter that by that bill that was introduced that you're talking about was 100 out of 100 Congress members voted for it. So you cannot say that was Biden. What I think that was the entirety of Congress. Everyone believed in that bill.
So what I think we should do is the blood is equally on the Republicans' hands.
Yes.
And I think we should abolish both parties.
Yes.
And Joe Jorgensen should be our president.
Yes.
We're not American.
No.
No.
Joe Rogan for president.
Joe Rogan. Kanye. Okay. How is Kanye doing? Can we check? Oh, I'm not kidding. Hold on.
That was
really cool. I'm bringing up the iPad here. We're going to check how Kanye West is doing in this election. He didn't concede or anything, eh? Did he?
He's like, I can still win.
No, he didn't, right? Before. He didn't like, okay, sorry, guys, this was a joke, right? He didn't say that.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm bringing up my iPad here. We're going to go Kanye West election results. Okay. Well, apparently 88... Oh, never mind. Sorry. Ignore me. Okay. In Vermont specifically, because this is the one that came up on Google, Kanye West has 0.3% of the vote.
That's pretty good.
Okay, so he has 1,213 votes in Vermont. Guess how many the Green Party has? 1,270. Has like 60 more votes than Kanye West.
That's pretty funny, honestly.
That's funny. Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Your politics.
Oh, 3 hours ago, Kanye West cast a vote for himself in U.S. election, obviously. I thought he like couldn't run in every state or something.
I don't know the rules.
Fair. Okay, let's go show all states. President. Show more. Okay. Joe Biden. As of saying this, 63 million votes. Donald Trump. As of saying this, 61 million votes. Joe Jorgensen, who, in my opinion, is the candidate that should win, 1.4 million votes. Howie Hawkins, who's the Green Party, 285,000 votes. And then all other candidates, 304. They don't even have Kanye on here. It's just all other candidates. Can I expand this?
That's too bad.
Ooferinos. I just want to see how much Kanye is. Give me the Kanye. Why do you think Kanye ran for president? Speaking to the mic.
He did it for the gram.
Just for clout?
Yeah.
Do you think he actually believed that he could be president?
No, I think he's making a statement. I don't think he wants to be president. I don't think anyone insane wants to be president. Then again, it is Kanye.
Okay. Kanye West, as of now, 35,000 votes federally.
I feel like...
Compared to the 160 million that the other guys got.
I feel like he's one of those candidates that's kind of like a scratch candidate where people vote for him almost like in protest of like, I don't want either, I'm voting for Kanye.
What's that show or movie where like...
And it is a strategy that does win sometimes.
What's that show or movie where like they have like an I forget the context, but it's like an election, and I think it was The Office, definitely The Office. There was like they had a Halloween costume contest, and everyone votes for the shittiest costume because they think he's not going to win.
Right, and then he does.
And then he does because everyone voted for him.
No, there's a Stephen King book where basically this like diabolical, awful guy wins an election and he ran as as a ridiculous independent, and he's like ran as like he's like the hot dog candidate. He he gives out like free hot dogs at his rallies, and that's like the only thing.
I like that guy.
It's like he doesn't have a platform. He just gives out free hot dogs, and he ends up winning because people just like hate both sides so much.
So
they just
they're like,
vote
well,
for
the third guy isn't going to win, so I'll throw away my vote, and the hot guy wins.
No, like they actually support. Like he had like some super hype rallies.
And what's the plot of
like people loved him.
Okay.
He ends up being like super evil.
He's
and
evil.
doing really
the hot dog guy is
bad
evil.
things.
Doesn't sound.
But
sounds fake, but okay.
The idea is like they cite like real political research of like there's a certain point where that strategy can win, where people are fed up enough with both sides that basically it's like that, you know, the capitalism notion of like the people will decide if both sides become shitty enough, the independent will win.
Well, apparently there's a statute or something that says if enough people throw away, like void their vote, there has to be a new election with new candidates. Like that's in
I feel like there'd be a lot. There need to be a lot.
Okay, but how many people don't want to vote for either right now?
They're probably staying home.
That's
the problem.
But imagine if every news station was like, guys, if you vote for neither,
go scratch your vote.
We have to have a new election with better candidates. Yeah. Imagine if every Fox and CNN was saying that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right?
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Let's do it just once. Just see what happens.
Well, I think we should have like 4 years without a president. Ooh. And just see, like, just to find ourselves.
So we just let like Mitch McConnell, Lady Gaga and Kanye and Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon and Alex Jones around the country.
You ever see the South Park where the Cartman like finds out how Cartman finds out how like Disney's making like decisions, and it's just like manatees like pushing balls into things.
Oh yeah.
We should just do that for the president, like a manatee. They just pick up balls that like, you know, like legalize. They have a legalized ball and they put it in the thing, and it's like okay, and it's like ranch, and they put it in the thing. Legalized ranch, okay. Like
what's his name? The writer.
What of South Park?
Yeah.
Matt Stone or Trey Parker?
Yeah, no, he should be president.
The both of them. They should be co-presidents.
Or
big fan of Trey Stone and Matt Parker.
Seth.
That was opposite.
MacFarlane.
Did you catch that?
No.
Okay.
I think we're done for tonight.
Are we really?
I don't think we're getting any further tonight. We're at 223 Biden, 174 Trump. Statistically, it looks like Trump has the slight edge, but we're talking like less than 5% in either direction.
Yeah, we're talking this is
toit. Very toit.
So I think me and Tyler work for a living, and we all both have to be up pretty early tomorrow. So we're going to call this here.
Yep.
And we're going to resume tomorrow. This isn't a live stream. I don't know why I'm talking. Like we're going to resume. Yeah, we're just going to...
In 10 seconds.
In 5 seconds, we're going to be back. And hey, we're back. My name is Willows. Welcome to the...
And I'm sober.
Just kidding. We didn't actually cut. Thanks for listening to this part of the podcast. I'm not going to do the whole outro because I'm actually intoxicated.
Don't outro.
Okay. Goodbye. Whoa, that was weird. It's been literally 1 second since we cut in from the other recording.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird. We're wearing different clothes. Wait, no, you're wearing the same clothes.
I'm wearing the same clothes.
Oh, okay. I'm wearing
different pants.
I'm wearing different clothes. Hi. Welcome back. This is 24-ish hours after we just ended the last segment. And
Not much has changed.
Well, I think I'm prepared to call the election for Joseph R. Biden Jr.
I am not.
Which is funny because I thought Trump was going to win.
No, it's not. It's not because I don't think he's going to win. I just think it's probably going to be another few weeks.
Well, no, we know for sure that Trump has already declared a recount for Michigan and Wisconsin.
Well, he'll call a recount anywhere he doesn't win, just like
anywhere he's allowed to. It's has to be within 1%, I think.
Right.
He's going to call a recount for all of them. But wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. So I was talking to my neighbor. I was outside earlier, and I was talking to my neighbor, and she was saying, honestly, this is a surprisingly calm. No one's burning anything down.
Well, so far.
Sure, but no one's really calling bullshit. Everyone's just kind of okay. Trump's tweeting some ridiculous things, but
it's very, very hard to mobilize people.
Fair, but I think everyone's just fatigued from COVID.
They're oh god, it's over.
If this election had happened outside of COVID, I think that we would already have a militia mobilizing. But
I was
people are just fucking tired, man.
Man, I was mentally prepared for Trump to win, and I was you know what? If that's what America wants, let's fucking see what happens with another 4-year Trumpism. That's just gonna be funny.
Well, I saw Andrew Yang tweet whether or not Biden wins today, we have a lot of fucking soul searching to do or something. It's so close. It's so close. It's within 1%.
Yeah.
He's we should have. I think a lot of Democrats have this. We should have, won by a large margin. Right. And we did not. And they did not, Democrats, right?
I don't know. So thoughts on Trump declaring victory?
He came on. That was, I think, shortly after we stopped recording last night. We were stopped recording around midnight CST.
It's roughly the same.
1 a.m. Eastern.
It was about the same time that he was able to declare victory in 2016.
Yeah. So he came on TV, right? Or did he just tweet it?
No, it was live.
Yeah, he came on TV and he was "Yeah, it's not all in yet, but I think we can pretty much declare victory."
No, he's we won.
Yeah, well,
he just straight up said we win.
Well,
and he's
Trump? To no one's surprise, yeah. Trump is saying ridiculous things.
Yeah. The best part is when he's we're not gonna let them keep counting votes after the polls are closed. It's okay, you can't cast votes after it's closed, but you can count for 2 weeks, which they always
have to,
which they have since
how you count votes,
which they have since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But then he contradicts himself 10 seconds later. He's but don't stop counting in Arizona, keep counting there, but everywhere else stop counting.
Yeah.
I think that's why you can't really rally a militia behind this fucker, because he can't even stay consistent with himself long enough to even drive a point home.
But the Proud Boys are standing by.
Yeah.
So.
But the good boys are standing by.
So let's say Joe Biden wins here. I didn't think he was going to, but let's say he does, because it looks like he's going to. Does it matter?
I think. I think a lot of the kind of reckless behavior of how Trump has been running shit for the last couple years, it's really, really fucked with a lot of stuff. There's people in the intelligence community that are we don't give briefings anymore because unless
we're scared of what he's gonna say.
No. Unless we bring in a model plane and have loud, flamboyant, exciting demonstrations, he'll literally tune us out and start scrolling Twitter on his phone.
To be fair, so do I.
So he basically doesn't take meetings with, or he doesn't listen to his intelligence anymore. He doesn't fucking communicate with his generals. He's not he doesn't have the White House itself in order because he's been refusing all whatever lobbying. He's like, I'm not participating in lobbying.
Yeah.
That's like it doesn't just go away because you're like, I'm not paying attention to it.
Yeah, it's
Basically,
still there.
all the lobbying funds have just been redirected to all the White House staff. So now he basically has like everyone in the White House is like a fucking free for all, make as much money as you can.
Well,
and like,
how is that not the same mentality of if we don't test for COVID, then there's less COVID cases? Like,
yeah,
same idea, right?
It's
like,
exactly, that's exactly the mindset. And what it causes is shit like when there's an aide that's been paid $300,000.
Wait, Trump has AIDS?
Yeah, lots. They've been paid $300,000 for a quote unquote consulting fee for quote unquote insights into the administration by a certain organization. I think it was like AT&T or something like that the specific payment was tracked to. But I mean, it's common, it's legal, right?
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah. Moral, questionable, right. But legal, yeah.
So that person could go and maybe alter the president's schedule or, take a briefing, like physically take a briefing off his desk or bury it so he doesn't see it. And now, like, he's influencing the trajectory of things. Like, that's basically what Trump's created for himself is, like, these people that are, they basically only believe in self-interest.
Yeah.
Well, they are being then paid and incentivized along those lines. So it's like fucking discourse like you wouldn't believe. Like it's just, I don't know, it's hard to even put into words because there's just like so many levels of like, okay, that's fucked up. Oh, that's not how you should run a business or an organization or like a group of people in any way. Like just like every fucking level of the job he's doing poorly, except for like he seems to be doing like okay with like some policies. Like he's that quote get shit done guy.
Yeah.
But is like destroying everything in his wake.
So
it's like having the rock star salesman that just poisons the workplace, pisses everyone off.
Well, evidently 50% of America is vibing with him.
Well, for exactly the same reason that you do, because you're like, yeah, I'm totally like that. Like fuck everyone, fuck you, I'll get what I want. Like get that money. Like that's the American attitude.
And for the record, I'm not exactly a Trump supporter, but no. I wanted him to win because I think it's funny.
Yeah. But that's most of America.
They just want to see chaos.
Like that's how they feel about the world. They're like, we're Americans. Fuck everyone.
Yeah.
So what if he's an asshole? Like it's good to be an asshole because we're the best people in the world.
So here's two things that I'm hoping happen still. Number one is that if Joe Biden wins, he wins with a minority, but he wins because of the Electoral College. And then all those Democrats that have been like, we need to abolish the Electoral College are like, they just disappear into the wind.
Yes.
I think that'll be a good one. It's very split right now. It's within 1% of each other. So, and then the other thing... Yes. What? So my business partner's in the room with us here, just watching the results. We don't have enough mics for him though, so we're not bringing him on. But he was just saying that if neither candidate gets 270 electoral college votes or whatever, which is looking at this graph right now is possible. Then the House selects the president, and the Senate selects the vice president. And if the House is Democratic, and the Senate is Republican, they would pick Biden as the president of the United States and probably pick Donald Trump as the vice president of the United States.
I am so down.
We were watching Joe Rogan yesterday. He had like some political guy on.
Or do they have to pick a vice presidential candidate to be the vice presidential candidate?
No, I don't. Why would they? No, of course not. I don't think so. Right? Well, because the political like guy on the podcast didn't know.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to Google it because it's never happened before. Right?
Yeah.
But this is so I did read earlier today that this is the highest turnout ever in an American election.
Yeah, it's like almost as high as some African countries.
They just beat Obama's record in 2008, which was the highest ever.
Yeah, it was like 135. This time it's like 165 million.
Which is still what 55% of the
Yeah.
population of eligible voters or something.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great. We just had our last election was one of the lowest turnouts we ever had in Canada.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of getting tired of, like, I don't know, it's just been coasting.
Oh, I was gonna say the other thing I want to happen besides the electoral like thing is I want Biden to win and shit be still fucked up, and leftists be like, but wait. You know what I mean? Like
I'm prepared to celebrate whatever happens.
we said this at the beginning of the podcast. Neither of us care. Neither of us have an investment in this. Like,
well, my only investment is like is purely interest. Like I've never studied, or paid attention to politics or an election this closely. So I'm very interested to see on like how little or how much actually happens afterwards in the aftermath. I was low key just like super looking forward to listening to, the left wing political podcasts that broadcast on a super regular basis to like see what their content looks like for the next 90 days.
Yeah.
Like if Trump was to win.
Yeah.
That would be
So here's something we can talk
entertaining.
about is that we mentioned it probably 20 minutes ago on the podcast, which was actually a day ago. We were talking about a lot of states are doing plebiscites where they're talking about legalizing drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's now from Futureland here, we've verified that it was like 9 or 10 states voted to legalize recreational marijuana. But a couple states
decriminalized.
No, legalize, I think, and like open government stores and
like
stuff.
Colorado.
And a couple states went further. The most notable of Oregon actually just decriminalized all drugs.
Yeah, like
every single drug, heroin, cocaine, they decriminalize. You can't get in trouble. It's very low. It's like a gram or less or something.
Yeah.
But they decriminalized every single drug, so you can no longer go to jail for possession or use of every single drug. And they legalized the psilocybin mushrooms for
research.
No, for treating people.
Ooh.
What do you call it? Like therapeutic
use. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was all done by
props to the most racist state in America. You
Oregon?
got drugs right.
Portland?
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon's
bad.
Racism?
Yeah.
Because Portland, Oregon is where like the craft beer revolution happened in North America. Was Portland, Oregon. That's the center of it.
No, Oregon's bad. Like they had some of the most dramatic like Jim Crow type of stuff. Like they had housing rules that I think it went up to like the 50s or 60s that basically meant like if you were black you had to live in a certain area, and this area was set like below water level, and this entire community was surrounded by like 20-foot dikes.
I think you're thinking of Louisiana.
No.
Okay.
I'm almost certain it is. I like listened to like 5 hours of history on this yesterday. But historically they're redlining. Yeah, they're really bad for redlining. But they've had that running for longer, like 30, 40 years longer than most states, and they had an extremely low black population for a while because they were basically without so many. They weren't even fucking subtle about it. They're basically like forcing black people to leave the state to like make it quote unquote like more pure. And there's like a huge like neo-Nazi movement there as well. They'll be like,
well,
this is the last frontier of true Aryan stronghold. Like that's a fucking it's a crazy group. They're trying to get it like over 90% white or whatever.
Shout out Oregon. If you're from Oregon, let us know if any of that is true. But they have more liberal drug laws than Canada does now.
Good for them.
Good for them. Yeah, I think that's coming though. I think. What do you think? What do you think about that? The decriminalization of.
I think all drugs should be decriminalized. Period.
I agree. Well, I think we're both pretty. Yeah, we super agree on that. That statistically, when European countries are decriminalizing drugs, you see drug overdoses, you see drug crime go down. Like it's a no brainer. Like we, America, Canada, we have lost the war on drugs. The drugs won.
Hand over fist.
The drugs won, right?
Well,
And-
the cartels won.
Well, but if you decriminalize drugs, you take away money from the cartels, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, that because of that, we've just basically padded their pockets with so much money they can afford to literally, like, buy a private jet and crash it every time they make a delivery and still make profit.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, our government organizations can't fight that kind of power where they can basically, like, strip log a forest and, like, crash land a private jet into it and then, like, pull the cocaine off of it and then they just, like, burn the jet.
Yeah.
And that's a successful import.
Yeah, because you're selling so much.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know what fucking state where they do that in, but it happens because you can put millions and millions of dollars on
Did
these
you ever watch
planes.
that movie? I forgot what it's called.
American Made?
Hey, with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was talking about. He was
Yeah.
dropping shit in the swamp.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like a real guy. Like that was a real story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like dropping drug shipments from his plane from Colombia or whatever, like into the swamp, and then like going to pick them up later and shit. And then there was like they got like pulled over by the Coast Guard or like the planes, like government planes, like surrounded him, and he just like zipped down and like crashed the plane to get away from them, and crashed in some like small town or whatever, and just dipped out, like stole some kid's bike and
He's
everything.
covered in cocaine.
Yeah, he's covered in yeah. That shit happens, but. Yeah.
Yeah, because they can afford it.
Yeah. Well, evidently, cocaine is when you don't pay business taxes. Evidently, you make a lot more money. So
Is that an argument for or against taxes?
against
Okay, so we need more drugs.
the fact that I can't buy drugs at my fucking local supermarket is a evidence that my rights have been infringed.
Fair?
Why can I kill my body with fucking alcohol, but I can't kill my body with fucking cocaine?
Yeah, why can't you buy a rocket launcher? Or these
That's a different
those
argument.
Chinese mortars that were banned by Trudeau recently. Like,
That's a different argument.
that was my favorite gun to buy.
That was my favorite firework to use. I don't know. Like
I'm
so,
just imagining some idiot on Canada Day who accidentally buys a mortar
Mortar instead of
thinking
a
it's a
firework.
firework and it's like, thunk.
zoop.
Zoop. Exactly. It makes a zoop, not a thunk.
True.
So,
Yeah, I guess like
But-
retrospect, we're probably not going to see results for the next couple weeks. We'll mention it on future episodes, but in the year 2000, the election, it took them 35 days to count all the ballots.
yeah, and like I explained yesterday, the counting was actually stopped by a riot of weird white guys in polo shirts, and it actually worked. So that's, I think, is going to happen again for sure. Like,
You think we're going to see any political violence, any riots, anything like that?
I don't know. I don't think it's very likely. I think people have to really push far. Trump's going to have to, I think, directly ask for it.
Yeah. He'd be like, I'm not giving
Like-
up. Let's go shoot people.
Right. He's been dog whistling this shit so much. He's going to have to straight up say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I don't think he will, right? He's not insane, I don't think. I don't know.
He almost did last night.
I don't know. He's not. What do you does he really think he's gonna win? Come on top of that one?
Well, it doesn't matter. He's like, I lost. Fuck it.
Just fuck it. Let's kill everybody. Like
It's like, I'm 74. I have nothing else left to live
he
for.
still has family and shit. Like
Yeah, he has his special relationship with his daughter to think about.
yeah, he's 3 girlfriends. Ivanka, Ivana, and Baron.
That was in poor taste,
Why?
but not entirely wrong.
Quote from LP of Run the Jewels fame. I forget what exactly the quote is. It's like I got fucked up more than Trump fucks his youngest or something like that.
Oh, gross.
Shout out LP. I don't know. I don't think he's fucking insane enough to be like, yeah, let's just start killing people. Like, I don't know.
And he's denounced. See, here's one of the fun things I've learned about organizations like the Proud Boys is they are like the degree of infighting in these militia groups is like it's dramatic. It's pretty
Yeah, for sure.
like think about it. Like these half these battles are fought by like incels on forums. And what's the only thing that's been proven is whenever fucking hard times come, or there's like a major leader of a big quote unquote movement or group that seems to be gaining a lot of traction.
Yeah.
If that guy gets crucified by the media, everyone in those groups also turns on them and is like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Like they don't stand behind their leaders historically. Like since World War II, whenever these groups have been active, like people don't maybe know this, but there was something like 35,000 people that marched in support of the Nazis in Washington.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Since then,
United States
they've never
sponsored Hitler's rise to power.
Right, and there's never been a united front in those groups. So I think at worst you have some skirmishes, but I don't see a scenario where the National Guard is like, I don't think we should shoot those guys. Well, I don't see that scenario happening.
And like we talked about yesterday on the podcast, or earlier on this podcast, earlier in the episode, Trump doesn't really have support of the military.
No.
We've talked about this. Like, he doesn't
neither do the Proud Boys.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So, we didn't do it at all this episode because it was kind of a half episode, but I'm thinking we should do it a little bit. Welcome to the segment that we like to call Shot Caller, where you, the audience, can pick the shots that we take of hard alcohol on the podcast. And none of you sent in a shot this week, so the shot comes from my brand new liquor cabinet behind me. This is a 40.
And you're playing like it's the podcast liquor cabinet.
It is. So this is a 40, which is Canadian nomenclature for 1.14 liters of liquor. I went to go buy a 2.6 of gin, but the 40 was $2 off. So I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll get it to 40.
40 because it's 40%.
And I've already drinking that much, which is like a fair amount. That was like, I bought this like 4 hours ago.
Good job.
I'm intoxicated. I've been drinking all day. My market that I got, usually do, the event that I usually do today and tomorrow got canceled because of COVID.
Well, it's not like you usually work that hard anyways.
I do work that hard, and I resent the implication that I don't. So cheers to President Joseph R. Biden Jr. May he live to 1,000-year Reich. I mean,
at least 2 years. If it's not a Reich, it's fine. I think he's got 2 years in him.
I was gonna ask next. How long do you think Joe Biden's getting to the end of his term?
I'd give it like a decent chance, because I feel like having such a strong VP, the party and he both really want to propel her forwards.
I make jokes all the time. Do you actually think he's mentally affected, like insufficient? Like,
I think he's about as much there as a man of his age can be.
Because he's, what, in his 70s, in his 80s?
He's in his 70s. 77, 78.
But, yeah. I make jokes about, I'm like, oh, he has dementia. Like, I don't actually think he's out of his mind.
No, he's fucking old. Like,
yeah, he's just old.
The equipment is old.
Why
but
do we have old people? Why can't we have a younger person run as president?
Because everything that old people are bad at, young people are worse.
Social media?
Yeah. No,
right.
I think like the hard edges get rounded off in some ways of like the machismo, I think a lot of those things that get rounded off over the years, or at least that's what people hope. Age is wisdom. Stronger character.
Yeah. We're just I'm just reading some updates here from the election thing that are on the TV that I got to squint to read. It says Arizona's Maricopa County where results are starting to come in. See, it's jobless at 63%.
Jobless rate fell to 6.3%.
Oh, I
about half of what it was in the early pandemic. That's pretty typical. The job market's roughly recovered half of what it lost. And
they've recovered,
and the recovery has slowed down dramatically.
So unemployment, so what they're saying is unemployment is at 6.3%.
Yeah.
So out of eligible workers, 6.3% don't have jobs.
Yeah.
That's high, right?
Yes.
But pandemic.
Quite. That's quite high. But pandemic. And the
If
recovery is slowed.
If you're laid off of a job, do you still have a job? Like as far as statistics are concerned?
No.
So if you're laid off of a job, but you're still on the payroll, but you're laid off.
What if you're laid off? You're not on the payroll.
When I lay people off, I have to issue them a record of employment.
Yeah, terminated. Job is gone.
No, it's not terminating though. I issue them a ROE, and then they file that with EI,
which is the end of their employment. That's what it means.
Really? Okay.
Record of employment is issued upon date of termination. That's the point of the ROE.
Okay, but then they come back. I don't issue them a new contract or anything.
Well, you don't issue contracts to employees. Period.
Employment contracts are a thing.
Well, but they're not required.
Well, I have my people sign NDAs and stuff.
Right, but it's not required.
Sure.
That's not that's not what the stats are tracking.
Sure.
You can furlough people. That's a thing. But
which is what? What is that for the audience? I obviously know what it is.
Furlough is basically you're putting their employment on pause.
Sure.
So, yeah, the unemployment numbers bouncing back, that's of that whatever massive numbers that we saw, the 13%, 15% unemployment. Those numbers were based on, jobs, people being laid off because of lockdowns.
Yeah.
And then as soon as lockdowns, whatever, eased,
they got their jobs back.
But only at a 0.5 to 1
But
ratio.
do you think President Joe Biden is going to do a federal lockdown?
No.
Why?
Why would he?
Why not? Because 250,000 people have died of COVID?
Okay, federal lockdowns in a place as big as the States is not very effective because, France, maybe. Fucking small place.
But he's been bitching at Trump to do a lockdown this entire time.
Well, no, he's talking about national, mask mandates, stuff like that. If you can't just, nationally, unilaterally make the same rules for lockdowns. What's lacking...
You have to tell...
What's lacking is there's no
Trump's
guidelines.
Not telling states to do stuff.
Well, there's no guidelines for states.
Sure.
All the states make up their own rules, how schools have to open. In Canada, we take it kind of for granted, but the rules across provinces are pretty uniform. What's happening in Ontario.
More or less.
Based on positivity rate, this and this and that is going to happen. All the schools are working kind of roughly the same, because the rhetoric from the top is encouraging certain things, and the rhetoric from the doctors is not being contradicted and made partisan every fucking day from the politicians.
Sure.
So it's okay, this is what we do. That's kind of what they're talking about, but Biden's not even going to be able to get it done because with such a fucking razor's edge on...
50% of people still aren't going to listen to him.
Right, 50% of people are still balls to the walls Trumpism.
Yeah.
And... Trumpism, by the way, is just a general attitude. That's not a term that I made up. It's just generally being used as a term to the phenomenon of the new attitude of the Americans these days. But I think what Biden is basically going to do is be okay, let's be more consistent let's bring federal funding back to testing. If there's lockdowns, you're going to get your employment insurance. There has not been a relief bill.
Are they going to do another relief bill?
Well, yes. Both parties.
Both
parties have said they would finish the relief bill after
when they come back to recess or whatever.
After election.
When does the Senate come back to?
I don't know the date.
How long do they usually do recess for?
It's more than a month.
Because we do ours for months, I think. 3 months or something.
Yeah, it's a couple months, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, especially during campaigning.
Fair.
But
it's a weird year, I guess, for all this.
Yeah, relief bill's going to come in. What we take for granted as well in Canada is when lockdowns increase, at the same time, financial support is like lockstep
like
along with it.
Our federal government
Like
in
within
Canada
days.
has given like everybody like $20,000.
Yeah.
And Americans
And
got like what, 600? They said
they've gotten one check
of $600 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Because
and there's a lot of people that still haven't even had their first application from March processed.
Because I remember I was in a Twitter thread that's like Kanye tweeted like, take your government relief check and buy land with it or something, or invest it or something. I think it was buy land is what he said, but he was oversimplifying, right? But like invest it. And I'm like, yeah, that's like, people were like, oh, fuck you. I'm like, that's good advice. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Take the free money and fucking invest it. That's what I did.
Yeah, but what if you need to pay rent or feed your kids?
No, but then I'm reading in the thread and I'm like, oh, they're not getting 20 grand cash.
No.
They're getting like $600.
Like a few $100.
Yeah, okay, all right. Because like we in
that
Canada,
was 6 months ago.
we in Canada, like individuals can claim $2,000 a month, 2,000 Canadian, to be fair, which is like 1,500 American.
It works out.
But
Like
okay,
cost of living, everything, it equals out.
2,000 Canadian a month, plus my business has gotten 60,000. We got to pay it back, but it's 0% interest, and we only have to pay back 40 of the 60,000.
It's like a negative 30% interest, effectively.
Yeah, you get the last 20,000 as a grant if you pay
Yeah.
back the first 40,000 in like 3 years at 0% interest or something.
Right. No, it's a phenomenal program.
Yeah, so, like-
and there's no stipulations on how you spend that money.
No, yeah,
all
it's
of
yours.
like all of the business relief funding that
In America?
got pushed through in the States, they have conditions like 75%, like the PPE system.
PPE.
Yeah, the PPE system. 75% of it has to be spent on wages, when what businesses need is 75% of it to be on rent.
No, but see,
because their wages are way down because they're fucking closed.
we have a different one for wages.
Right.
The CBW, whatever, the
wage subsidy, yeah.
we have a wage subsidy and a business subsidy and
Right.
a individual subsidy in Canada.
Right. And they all increase within days of lockdowns increasing.
Like you basically were allowed. Well, now they're saying 25% of people that applied for the CERB, the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, are fraudulent applications because they just let you apply and they gave it to you within days because we were in an emergency, and then they're gonna figure it out after.
Yeah, but they're probably not going to crack down very hard on a lot of those people.
Well, they said they're going to. The CRA
Well,
said
they're
going
like
to.
on outright fraud, yeah, but they're not going to like fine-tooth comb make you justify,
If you're
like,
an
why
idiot.
didn't you get a job this month? Like,
yeah.
it's not like regular EI. Like, it'll be more like,
Yeah.
did you overtly commit fraud? Like, were you...
Yeah.
Did
Well,
you,
because like someone we know
yeah.
was claiming EI and CERB and then bragging about it, being like, oh, fuck, these government guys are paying me double.
Yeah, and then he got
And
it.
he got fucked.
Yeah, they literally took it out of his bank
took the
account
money out of his
before they
bank,
called
yeah.
him.
Before, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
he
is-
woke
which
up
is
and he had
hilarious.
negative $6 in his bank account. And he's like calling the bank and they're like, oh, yeah, the looks like government did that. And he's like, yeah.
Oops.
And then I don't want to give him any more details because,
But that just goes to say, like, that's what Biden is basically pitching is we're just going to do pretty much what every other country that's handled this reasonably in the world has done. If you look at how other countries have handled this, which I think is fucking hilarious, nobody in American media refers to how Canada has handled anything. It's not even mentioned. They will mention New Zealand, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore. They will talk about all of them. They won't even mention Canada.
well, which is funny
Why?
because,
Like,
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
That
I don't know.
I don't know. It's if there's any fucking media, political media people of America listening to this, why isn't Canada ever considered? Like, aren't we super similar with kind of the politics that if you're on the left you probably want to see? Like, why do you never reference us in anything? Boggles my mind. I feel like there's a lot of useful comparisons that could be made. But whatever. That's just me. Ooh, lemon. Lime.
If you're watching the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/votewillows to see the video version, you'll see that I've been slowly adding to my bar. And I'm drinking Moscow Mules today, but instead of vodka, I'm making them with gin. So I'm making doubles right now. I'm doing 3 ounces of gin with 3 squeezes of lime juice, and then filling it up with ginger beer over ice in a copper mug. Which, you want to hear the story about how Moscow Mules became a thing?
Did you not say it already?
On the podcast? Maybe. So basically, I'm kind of drunk, but the guy that like founded, I think he bought Smirnoff vodka. It was like going out of business. And this is like in the 1800s or something, early 1900s. And maybe after World War II, I don't fucking know, whatever, a long time ago. He was like gonna buy Smirnoff or something, and he did for like $8,000. And he had like, I'm gonna butcher this because I'm drunk, but like he had like a boatload of like copper mugs for some reason.
Yeah, he thought they were gonna be hot shit.
He thought he could like, he had like this good deal in like the Orient to buy all these copper mugs,
and he thought they'd be like
I'm gonna be able to flip them,
the new rave.
And he brings them here, and no one wants them, so he buys this vodka company, and he creates a cocktail, which is evidently the Moscow Mule, and says, "No, you got to serve it in copper though." And it became this huge thing, and he sold all his mugs or whatever. And
it was like the ultimate grift. It was hilarious.
To this day, you order a Moscow Mule, they serve you in it. But I'm holding it up to the camera. If you're watching on YouTube, if you notice, it's out. This is like outside of copper. In the middle, it's just a stainless steel fucking mug.
Oh yeah, they're not going to use real copper. It's too valuable.
Yeah, they're not serving it in copper anymore.
And it like, says Tito's on there as well.
Yeah, I stole this from a restaurant, so... Whoops. Ruh-roh. So what I'm doing right now, this is Cocktail Corner with Chris, which is my first name if...
Who?
You didn't know.
I put...
We're doing... Okay, this one, we're doing more. We're doing 4 ounces of gin.
Did you get a call from my prospective landlord today for character reference?
No.
Oh.
No one called me today. We're going to do...
But it's funny because I put you down as like first name Willows, last name Christopher.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. Yeah, shout out my parents, I guess, for naming me Christopher. Yeah, I don't think... So, I don't mind the name Christopher. Like, I like it. It's not like I didn't change my name officially. I'm still Christopher Willows, legally. But I just go by Willows as a mononym, as a marketing thing. Because people go, "What's your name?" I go, Willows. They're like, "What?" Yep. And I'm like the trees. They're like, "Okay." And then they remember me.
Yeah.
And when I was 18, starting a business in a heavily government regulated industry, that was really important, was to be remembered.
Yeah.
And then on my social media, because still a lot of places ask for first last name, I just switch my names. So I'm like Willows Christopher on Facebook and stuff. But it's not a secret that that's my name. Like, I don't hide that ever.
So I got my I rented a house today.
Congratulations.
So I put down a bunch of references, and so I've been living in my mother's basement for a while, like not because I needed to, but just like for the sake of paying off debt, and it was just kind of nice to be home for a while.
Gross. And tremble machine.
And dog. But anyways, long story short, I just put her down as a landlord reference because I'm like, fuck it, why not? I got a
different last name.
Yeah, exactly. She legally changed her last name back to her maiden name, so I like put down her maiden name, and yeah, so they called her, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's super quiet, the best tenant I've ever had." They're like,
"That's so funny."
Like, did he give sufficient notice? She's like, "Oh yeah, plenty of notice." Just like, and I told her like 20 minutes before she got that call that I was moving out.
That's
like,
funny.
Shout out to my mom. She just fucking...
Shout out Sarah. She is...
Like, shamelessly...
in my top 5.
Yeah, shamelessly is like, yeah, whatever. I told her how much I paid in rent, quote unquote paid in rent, and it was great. She just fucking sent it and was like, yeah, that was fun. She's like, I gave
That's
you
funny.
the best reference. She's like, you could get any house you ever wanted. I gave you the best reference ever. And I'm like, of course you would, Mom. Like, the police could be like, he killed 10 men. And she'd be like, not my boy. Even if she witnessed me do it.
People use me as a reference all the time for some reason, even though I don't give them permission a lot. Like, I remember,
because it's funny.
No, because people just think, well, they're right. Like, for instance, okay, so funny enough, my now employee, Wyatt, was my friend before I hired him. I get a call, random number. This is a few years ago. I'm like, hello? They're like, hey, it's whoever from wherever. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm calling about your former employee, Wyatt. And then in my head goes, oh, this fucking guy put me down as a reference on his resume, didn't he? And I'm like, oh yeah, Wyatt. Sorry, I was thinking about, yeah. Continue. Start asking me questions. I'm like, oh yeah, man, he was managing my whole, my whole marketing line. Like he's, just bullshitting a bunch of shit. I'm like, oh yeah, he's great. He's like, why is he leaving you if he's so great? I'm like, oh man, he's trying to make a shift. He's trying to. I respect it. We no animosity in our thing. I give him my blessing to leave. They're like, you know what? Thank you, Willows. Good to talk to you. Like, yeah, man. Hang up the phone. Immediately call Wyatt. I'm like, bro, did you put me down as a fucking reference in your resume? He's like, yeah. Did they call you? I'm like, yeah, they fucking called me. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think they'd actually call you. I'm like, fuck off.
That's fair.
But like, he's like, yeah, I just assumed if they called you, you'd lie for me, and I did. But then I'm like, why would you assume that?
You're like, thank you, but fuck off.
Yeah, but my first impulse was to like lie and then figure it out after.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, like my ex-girlfriend would put me down as a former employer because if you Google my name, there's 10 pages of me actually running a business. But people aren't even gonna think that far, anyways. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, all right.
Zennial.
I'm not a zennial.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a millennial.
You're too young.
We're like 6 months apart in age, buddy.
Yeah, but it matters.
I'll show you what matters.
Gross. So, this is about the election, and it's not fucking moving.
It's probably not going to.
Wisconsin, Michigan.
No, they're recounting Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Michigan currently finished but stripey, so that means recount. Okay, so we have Pennsylvania, 88% counted. Trump leading 50.6% to Biden's 47.9%. With the existing shift of late counts being mail-in ballots and mail-in ballots being predominantly Democratic, they do expect Pennsylvania to shift in Biden's favor. We have Arizona not finished, 86% counted. Biden at 50.7, Trump at 47.9, extremely close. Nevada, 86% counted, again within 1% with Biden in the lead. So, and Alaska, only 56% counted, but Trump way ahead. So Alaska is kind of a foregone conclusion. Georgia, extremely close, Trump ahead. North Carolina, Trump ahead, extremely close. Like, that's a fucking even split. Like, it doesn't matter how you look at it. That is a very, very even split. But for people, according to people smarter than us, that based on the actual data, that's more than just what I'm looking at here. Biden is still favored, not by a big margin though. It's like 65 to 4. What is 65-35 or 55-45?
What?
In Biden's favor?
Chance?
Yeah.
To win?
Yeah.
Oh, now it's like completely even apparently.
Oh, let me look at this is my favorite.
The betting odds?
We look at the betting odds because that seems to offer like the clearest picture.
No, because the people, they don't give a shit about who's winning. They care about being right.
They just
right?
care about their fucking bottom line.
Yeah,
they care about
being
the
right.
split. They want to hit that line. If you understand how the House makes money. Presidential odds.
So, my business partner Zach has now left the recording studio, but he was here earlier and he was talking about how, in theory, you can win a presidential election with like 25% of the popular vote, 22% or something ridiculous.
Oh shit. Here's the current standings.
Put a pin in that.
Current standings. Joe Biden is at negative 714, which means he's favored by a percentage of 87%. Trump's at 12%.
Yeah. Like, I think I called it for Biden. I'm calling it for Biden.
It was extremely close when we went to bed last night. When I woke up, it
was favoring Trump when we went to bed last night.
Yeah, it was favoring Trump, and then it flipped back to Biden, and it's been pushing Biden all day long. Which, I mean, was understandable and predicted. Like we mentioned earlier, the blue shift, that was is generally understood. That's pretty consistent.
So we were talking. You can technically win in a U.S. election by like with 22% of the popular vote or something.
Yeah,
because you need to win. If you win 51% of the lowest population states by 51%, and they win the other states by 100%, then you've won, 270 electoral votes, but like 20% of the popular vote.
I think it's like 23%, but yeah.
Still, but hilarious, fascinating, right?
We love the electoral
We love
college.
the electoral college.
Super
well,
great.
Okay, but we don't really understand the electoral college. No, we kind of do. We've done some reading. What do you think of it? Do you think this is good?
I think what it's intended to do is equal representation among groups and demographics. Unfortunately, what that means is if you have, like right now, people that are extremely polarized, you can have a minority of people that are, let's say, I'm not saying this is the fact, but, extremely racist and for a bunch of shitty things that hurt other people, like a bunch of rural white men saying abortion should be illegal while they don't understand, the living conditions of, women of color living in a city of 15 million people.
And if 50% of the country is rural, they could make abortion illegal in theory.
Right. So they are, and this is something
and vice versa, the population of California and New York would control the laws for the rest of the country.
Right. So what's the...
So the electoral college is they give every state even representation.
Right. But unfortunately, when you have such extreme polarity, it also it has the effect of, people that, have higher levels of education and all these different things that typically progressive, more liberal people have their views. Those people naturally seem to gravitate towards these cities where their vote is less and less and less effective. Like it's kind of like a weird phenomenon of statistics, just the way it's worked out. I think if for equal representation, roughly, I think the actual numbers, the Democrats would have to have roughly 70% of the popular vote in order to have equal power.
Well, and we were saying earlier off camera that how the founding fathers laid it out for representation, every electoral vote is worth a certain amount of population, how George Washington wanted it or whatever. Today it would be 3,500 seats or whatever.
Yeah.
If it was 3,500 Senate seats to represent the population.
Congressional seats, yeah.
Congressional seats to represent the population. Oof. But they're capped at whatever it is, 300, 500.
I would love to see 3,500 people
just yelling
try to get anything done.
I would love to see 5 people get anything done. I can't get a flag football team together. Never mind. You think fucking 500 House people can vote things?
No.
And politics sucks.
Why do we even talk about this?
Why do we talk? Why do we care? Why do you think you care? Do you treat it is this our football?
Yeah, no.
We don't like sports.
No,
but
that's what I've been telling people. I'm like,
it's just entertaining. Right?
This is my fight night.
Yeah.
This is my UFC fight night.
Yeah, it's this is funny to us. This is entertaining. We're getting a kick out of this.
Right, because I fundamentally believe the minute you can no longer laugh at your politicians, you've missed the point.
Well, when I was younger,
It's gone too far.
When I was younger, and even pretty recently, last couple of years, I was pretty involved in politics. We've talked about this in the podcast before. I'm not going to get into it, but you can Google it. You can figure out. I was involved with some political parties, but I think like the older I get, the more I just get disjointed with this whole system. Like none of this matters. Like,
well, that's why the consensus is you kind of have to be a narcissistic sociopath in order to actually want to become president.
Yeah. Well, I honestly do. I would want to be in politics because I honestly do care about people.
But the
argument,
you'll never win.
You'll
with
never
that
get there.
You'll never win with that attitude.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
You think even like our left-leaning prime ministers have been sociopaths?
I think you need a high degree of narcissism to succeed in that role.
Justin Trudeau definitely loves himself.
Yeah. No, it's a very high degree of buying your own bullshit.
Yeah.
And I've been around enough of those people to be like, oh yeah, like I can fully believe that, this person in power has those attributes, and they can also come across very endearing or lovable or whatever, and still be a fucking awful person in a personal
Do you think
basis.
they're self-aware?
Yeah.
You think they're like, I know I'm being shitty, but that's what I have to do?
Yeah, for the most part. Like, people are not oblivious, they're just justified.
But when okay, fair.
It's like,
fair point,
I'm the
fair
bad
point.
guy, but for a good cause.
So like,
Nobody believes that they're the bad guy for bad reasons.
well, I think no one believes that. Yeah, no one believes they're the bad guy. Period. Right? Usually, typically.
Yeah, like Hitler doesn't think he was a bad guy. Period.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's consistent across any human being, and you have to ask, like, how does that person justify it? Well, their mind has to work a certain way to ignore, things like
Whether
empathy or other people's opinions or feelings or how your actions might destroy someone. Like, oh, well, my justification about why I did this is more important than the actual real life consequences. Like, I did this because this, that has as much weight as this, I killed this person.
Yeah.
Like, at a certain point, a normal human being is like, oh, what I think doesn't matter. That was shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. But then there's people that kill a bunch of people and think it's okay. Like they think it's justified.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of what we're talking about, is the good people never rise to power and win.
Because they would never even get to that point where they would consider doing the stuff you have to do.
Well, they'll pull punches where you need to not.
Yeah, of course.
Like, this is why Trump is such an effective campaigner, because when he gets into situations where a typical person would like either be defensive or be like, oh shit, you're right, or feel caught in some kind of way, his default defense to anything that doesn't go his way
Wrong.
is offense.
Wrong.
I did not want to break that silence.
Yeah. Trump is not the president anymore. Do you think
Hashtag not my president.
do you think Trump wanted to be president again?
Oh yeah.
This must be
I think he
fucking
wanted to be in power
stressful,
till
buddy.
I think he wanted to be in power till he's dead.
Dies in office.
I think he wanted to die in
You can only do
office.
2 terms in America, right?
I think he wanted to probably change that.
Okay, so here's the thing. He can run in 2024.
Ooh.
You absolutely can. If you don't serve 2 terms, you can.
Oh, I am here for that.
Yeah, right?
I am down for Biden v. Trump 2.0.
2024, yeah. No, well, Biden couldn't. Oh, no, Biden couldn't win again, yeah. So 2028, Biden's on his 2nd term. Trump, it comes out of the woodwork and runs again. He's like 90.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
I'm here for that too.
I'm here
Well,
for that.
I saw something that was like the meme that was like, it's like Trump 2000, when did he start? 16 to forever. Because it's like, then Ivanka, the kid, whatever the kid is.
Well, actually,
She
the way it looks
runs-
right now, Eric Trump would be the logical. He's been actually gaining a lot of popularity. See, that's another thing. I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but people fucking love Eric Trump.
Eric Trump. Because there's Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah.
He's the eldest.
Yeah. Eric Trump is the one that he was a disgrace, and like
from his second marriage.
Yeah, his own father has said throughout Eric's entire life, this one's a disappointment.
Okay, but he's like come back now.
He's after basically failing at everything he's ever done. He's succeeding in politics.
Okay, what is he doing right now?
He's on the campaign trail for Trump.
Okay,
Donald
I think
Trump.
I see him like tweet.
Yeah, no, he's on the campaign trail fully.
Okay,
and I don't know if he's divorced or like broken up.
Is he like in the cabinet? Does he like work? What's like America's version of the cabinet? Secretaries?
The White House staff, the administration.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the White House staff.
Yeah. Because he can just appoint anyone. The president can just appoint anyone.
Which is mostly his family and
or
it's his yes men.
The last person to appoint all their family to the cabinet was JFK.
That went well.
Well, I mean, they all died and
no, it went really well.
They all got game ended in.
No, I don't think that's true.
Dubious fashions.
It's not like they pissed off the CIA 15 different ways.
Well, I think CIA, mafia,
and yeah, no. Anyways, I think everyone can agree on that. If you're listening to this, you probably do.
Probably not, right?
Eric Trump's probably going to be. It's going to be another like Bush thing.
Eric Trump.
It's going to be another Trudeau thing. I think we're going to see Eric Trump in a presidential seat.
You want to put this in? Look at the camera right now. And you say,
I think Eric Trump's going to win. Yeah,
the presidency
at some point
in like what 2000.
I don't know when, but he will.
I like it.
I don't know how many generations it'll take.
I like this.
I'm guessing somewhere between 8 and 16 years.
And he'll like slowly build credibility as a politician.
Yeah.
Run as like a
before Trump dies,
what's an MP
he's going to endorse.
Equivalent?
If Trump dies, if Trump loses now, he's going to stay politically relevant for a while.
People are still going to bring. Right. They're going to bring him on Fox News to get his opinion on President Joe Biden.
Trumpism isn't going away.
The same way that Obama is, they still bring him on TV.
And he's literally dunking on.
Oh, did you see that 3-pointer he just shot? Oh my God, he's like, that's what I do.
That's fucking badass.
Obama killed more innocent civilians in the Middle East than
but he shoots good 3-pointers.
But he's charming. I would smooch him. I'd give him a smooch.
Down.
Yeah.
No, I think at some point, before Trump becomes relevant, he'll endorse Eric.
I think Trump will be relevant until he dies.
Yeah.
I think they'll be bringing him on TV.
Yeah.
To ask him about new presidents, new policies until the day he dies.
Yeah, and he'll become the new Alex Jones.
No, he's never gonna go crazy. He's gonna be like Clinton. He's gonna be like Hillary Clinton, getting paid $300,000 to speak at fucking.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, he's probably gonna more so stick to like live tweeting and a YouTube
Trump's going
show,
to jail?
Maybe do a podcast. I think the odds of him going to jail is pretty low.
Because now that he's not the president...
The odds of him spending the rest of his life in court, extremely high.
Yeah, but you just send somebody, right?
Right. And
send your lawyers and whatever.
Yeah, no, the odds of him actually landing in court before he dies is pretty low.
Well, because if you don't know, in America...
Or in prison.
If you don't know, in America, the president of the United States cannot commit a crime. Like, you literally can't break the law. That's, like, in the Constitution. Yeah. You can't break the law. You have to be, like, impeached, and then they can charge you with a crime, which is what happened with Reagan.
Yeah.
No, Watergate. What's like Nixon. I am not a crook. They had to impeach him before they could charge him.
Yeah.
But he resigned before they could do that, so that they didn't charge him or whatever. I don't know. It was a whole thing. But the president cannot commit a crime. So Trump has,
or his crimes get furloughed.
No, you just can't commit. Yeah, whatever. You're above the law.
You can commit. Well, no, you're not above the law. You just can't be convicted until you're out of office.
Yeah. So what are the odds?
You're a citizen again.
People are saying Trump gets out of office, he gets immediately fucking arrested.
Oh, he is going to be in criminal lawsuits for the rest of his life.
For what? Name one thing.
Outright collusion with the Ukrainian government.
That's fine. Biden did that too.
Actually, no.
Yes.
The
Hunter Biden.
the
He got a foot job from.
Yeah, no, the Republican-led investigation committee
Do we?
found that Biden did the correct thing in where he actually or he went against his son in that proceeding. Like, basically, there was like money paid to Hunter Biden,
Yeah.
and there was like a contract on the line, and they're like, Joe Biden needs to whatever do this and this and this in order to make this happen.
Yeah.
He went against the interests of his son,
Really.
cost him a shitload of money,
Yeah.
and is like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to like compromise my integrity.
Yeah.
And like did the actual right thing, and said like, fuck conflict of interest. I'm going to do the right thing.
I think I said
and
this.
and that's what the Republican investigation committee found. Period.
I think I said this on the last podcast.
And by the way, that $3.5 million payment from like the Moscow mayor's wife to
Yeah.
quote unquote Hunter Biden
yeah.
was not to Hunter Biden. It was to an organization that he had some shares in, but it was also confirmed that he didn't have any direct benefit from that payment.
Allegedly.
No, it's a foregone conclusion. That's like post-investigation.
Okay, well, there's a bunch of
It's already done.
and OJ didn't kill his wife, right?
No.
That's a foregone conclusion in
Yeah,
court.
100%.
Like they
Yeah.
proved it that he didn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm saying,
No, I'm like, but this was like a Republican-led committee.
No,
Like,
I don't give a
there's
shit.
nothing here.
in my opinion, I think above the president, I think the Republicans and the Democrats are colluding. I think there's
100%.
I think there's a lot more going on here than
Well,
what's shown.
I think a lot of the deals of like the foreign policy, quote unquote, accomplishments Trump's had and Kushner have had in the last whatever couple of months leading up to the election, like basically it's everything pro-Israel.
Hold one thing, my lease on my building's up right away, so I was just I'm probably renewing it, but I was just touring some other corporate buildings just to see my options. Guess what my real estate agent's name was?
What?
Jared Kushner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out Jared Kushner from Winnipeg.
Yeah. Yeah. I got his business card. I'm like, I didn't say anything, but I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, Jared Kushner. I don't know if it's spelt the same way, but yeah. It was just, I'm like, what? Like, yeah. Whatever. Shout out Jared Kushner.
But yeah, anyways, all of those deals are none of them are actual shifts in policy or opinion or stance by the government. They're literal deals, like bought, paid for. Like there was like an exchange of either money or like some kind of value.
I guess the argument is that if you're in government, you can't be making those deals. Even if it's legal,
right,
you shouldn't be doing that.
Well, the reason is it's not genuine and it doesn't stick. Because if you're trading one political win for another political win, the idea is as soon as either of those offices change, that change, quote unquote, change in spirit or change in attitude was not genuine and can be reversed quickly.
Do you think Russia colluded in the 2016 election?
Yes.
Really? I don't think they did.
It's very well documented.
They made memes.
Fucked around a lot.
They made memes. They made
very effectively.
Facebook posts.
Very effectively.
Hot take.
Like what is like 20% of Americans get their news from Facebook?
Probably more. Here's a classic Willow's hot take. If you're able to influence an election via Facebook memes, you deserve that fucking election. Like,
but it's not just Russia though. It's Russia. It's Iran. Like, there's
how are people that dumb? Why is that Russia's fault?
It's not like they just. America does the same thing. Like,
but
they do the same thing to other countries.
Do you personally believe that like Russia like hacked the election or something, or like changed the results?
Much less likely. What they don't necessarily have an agenda like we want this guy to win, we want that guy to win. That's less of it. More so, they just want people to doubt the process. This is what I said in our group chat. Like Russia's number one goal is to sow discourse and basically reduce people's faith in democracy because they're anti-democracy, right? So that's their goal. They want Americans to be on their side.
But
and be more like them. And same with China. Like, they just want people to have less faith in democracy, period. So all they want to do is create chaos, which
like,
Trump plays into 100%.
The fact that people like can be influenced by fucking memes, because that's what it was. It was literally, I read the reports that were like, yeah, Russia's like interfering in the election. That's the title. And you're like, I'm like, holy shit, what are they doing? They're hacking ballot machines. They're fucking, what are they doing?
Nah, it's memes, bro.
And I look in, and it's like, yeah, Russia created 4,000 Twitter accounts to tweet at Hillary Clinton and say, you're Benghazi. And it's like, okay. Just, okay, ignore that then, right? Wait, it's Twitter.
No, it works.
It
works.
Like, what does that mean?
It works in the same way that if you stand in a crowd and you look up at the sky, don't say a word, just stare up at the sky.
Yeah.
It will not take long, and everyone in that group of people will look up.
Yeah.
Or it's that simple.
They did a social experiment of Buddy's in an elevator and he's facing the corner.
Yeah.
And eventually everyone faces the walls.
Yeah.
Fucking fascinating.
Yeah. No, it's a thing that's inherently human that's never going to go away. And it's really easy to exploit.
Let's take America, right? And let's say we put it down to 100 people. There's 100 people in America, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you rank yourself in intelligence on those 100 Americans?
Like, just straight up intelligence?
Yeah.
Like, are we talking scientific intelligence? Are we talking...
Let's talk a few.
Social intelligence? Are we talking...
Election awareness. Your ability to not be influenced by Russian memes.
I would argue, like...
I'm 96.
Yeah. I was going to say top 5%. Like,
okay.
Just because I don't fucking believe anything.
Okay.
Period.
Intelligence.
I don't like anyone. I don't believe anything.
Do you think you're smarter than the average American?
Yeah.
Do you think you're smarter than the average person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like, I don't want to be a dick about it, but like,
so I'm dumber than the average person. I don't know anything. I get all my news from memes. It's a fucking farce that I've gotten this far, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And you always say this to me, like, you're way smarter than me. Why are you not any more successful?
It's really easy to make money, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And I just fucking overcomplicate things and make life hard for myself.
So do Americans, evidently.
Yeah, well.
Why don't we just all vote for Joe Jorgensen and then...
Vote Kanye.
Why didn't everyone just vote for Kanye?
They did. Lots of people.
So Kanye
0%.
wins the... So, here's a... I'll bring it up on my screen. Just kidding, I'm not going to. Kanye tweeted today a picture of him in front of like a map of like this that we're looking at on the screen with like all the states.
Yeah.
And the caption was Kanye 2024.
Fair enough. You could do it. Kanye versus Eric Trump versus Barron Trump.
Shout out Barron Trump. How old is Barron's got to be 15, right? 14 maybe?
Maybe.
So in 4 years he'll be old enough to... No, wait. Do you have to be 35 to be president, but vice president?
Probably also 35 because you could theoretically become president.
If they die. Like President Eric with Vice President Barron.
Yes.
My favorite meme when Trump won 4 years ago when Barron was still like pretty young. There was a picture of like Barron in like a fucking coat that's like as long as him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you've won the presidency just like I planned. And it zooms in on his face and it's like, the launch codes, father. It's like Barron was in control this entire time.
I was going to say Eric Trump and Ivanka Trump, Queen Mother and what's his name?
Who?
Game of Thrones reference.
Oh, I've never seen him.
Never mind.
Who's Eric related to? He's a brother of Ivanka? He's a son?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's he married to?
He is banging some journalist.
Oh, word, aren't we all?
She's a Fox News reporter.
Ooh.
So he was
Kathy Griffin?
Yeah,
Wait.
I don't know. So he was previously with another woman who just super did not support his shift into politics.
Okay.
And after he got into politics, I guess this woman from Fox News was very like super pro Trump and was a much better fit for his image. And now he's with her.
Do you think Eric Trump is smarter than Donald Trump?
Yeah.
You think he could win the presidency?
Yeah. I think he has a lot of Trumpism, but he's like a lot more intelligent and has more tact, which makes him a lot more effective and dangerous.
So I have a he is married since 2014. I have a we're
married
actually,
now?
Yeah, since 2014 to Lara Trump. So we're upgrading here on the show. I actually have an iPad in front of me. It's actually a Huawei tablet that's really slow. But
I have one of those. Takes 25 minutes to load up anything.
Right. Okay, so he's the third child of Trump and Ivana, his first wife.
Yeah.
He's 36, so he could be president. Oh, he was on The Apprentice.
Yeah.
He's one of the boardroom judges.
Yep.
Oh, word. I know this guy now. I love parents Ivana Trump, like Ni Zelnikolava, and every letter has a fucking like accent. I hate the fourth generation businessman is the first thing as Wikipedia.
What does that even mean?
Tell me about that.
I'm a fourth generation Mennonite.
Okay, well, no, okay. So here's the thing. I think
Mennonite is an occupation, by the way.
We probably agree on this. When you're born into a family business, and then you just like work for the business, that doesn't make you fourth generation business owner. Like,
well,
fuck off.
At least it makes it clear
right?
that you're not a founder.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I work so fucking hard on my business. Like,
somebody has to.
Yeah, no kidding. You want kids?
Yeah.
You gonna just give your kids your business when you're
No.
What are you gonna do? Tell me.
Treat them like human beings and help them get what they think is important in life.
Which is?
I don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of my. Just kidding.
I don't give a shit. Like, the way I feel about it, I don't care.
Oh, he killed the fucking. Remember when what's his name? Who am I reading about? Eric Trump killed a fucking like elephant.
Oh,
he's like
safari.
a big game hunter.
He's a safari hunter. Yeah.
I don't want that. Don't hurt them. They're just living.
Okay, am I confusing Eric Trump with Donald Trump Jr.?
I think so. Yeah.
I must be. Oh, Eric Trump's the redneck. I think Eric Trump's the redneck that they were using to campaign in like Pennsylvania and shit, in small towns.
Sure.
To be like, I'm just like you, and he wears like flannel and jeans and speaks. One of his sons is dating a Fox News reporter.
They look the same.
Yeah, no, it's Don Jr. I was totally thinking about Don Jr.
Oh, so I can cut out the last 20 minutes of fucking podcast.
Yeah, just replace that with Don Jr.
Ugh.
Oop.
Ugh. And I don't know enough to correct you because I don't give a shit about Donald Trump's family.
So okay, now I'm remembering because
Donald John Trump Jr. is an American businessman and former reality TV personality. He's the eldest child of U.S. President Donald Trump and businesswoman Ivana Trump.
And basically, like, lifetime fuck up. And Trump was pissed for a very long time. He's like, I'm mad that I gave this one my namesake because he's a fucking failure. Like, over like the last 25 years, that's basically been his narrative on his son.
Eric's his younger brother.
Yeah.
And he's the executive vice president and trustee of the Trump Organization.
Yeah. Yeah, so Don Jr. I've been thinking of.
Oh, yeah, you wrote a book called Triggered in 2019.
Yeah, I think Don Jr. can make shit happen.
So Donald Trump. So what you're saying is Donald Trump gets elected again.
Yeah.
But it's Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah, just like Joseph Biden Jr. and his father that was president.
But we don't call what does Joe Biden's father do?
Yeah, let's do that. Joseph Biden
Should I
Sr. Joseph R. Biden
Okay,
Sr.
let's do that. Yeah, hold on. Okay, it doesn't really look like Joe Sr. did anything. Apparently he was rich in his 20s, sailing yachts, riding to the hounds, driving fast cars, flying airplanes, it says. But then a decade later, he found himself and a wife and 4 children living in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Huh.
And selling used cars for a living.
I want to know more about that.
This is some...
Because presumably the Bidens are from like a long line of old money and the Illuminati.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really look like he did anything.
Well, Junior did it.
Junior is the president of the fucking United States.
Well. Okay. Well, I'd say that's all that we can fucking talk about tonight.
I'll talk about you, honestly.
Please do. Conjecture gets us very far, if you've learned anything. So I'm looking forward to, a little bit of controversy, maybe some mild civil unrest. Nobody hurt each other. Use rubber bullets.
I want America to tactical nuke each other, and everyone is exploded except Canada, and Canada's not affected at all.
No, I think it's fantastic that we're gonna have one way or the other an 80-year-old man with a nuclear football that can destroy the world in his hands.
Well, the idea that
like even Russia has tighter measures on the president's ability to use nuclear
America
weapons.
Is such a diverse, and I mean maybe not when you take the whole country in account, but diverse melting pot of cultures and people and colors and genders and whatever. And we have 2 80-year-old white men.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to pick.
Yeah.
And even Bernie was an 80-year-old white man.
Yeah.
Like, even, and half the fucking, like, who? Like, Beto is a fucking white man. And
the 30
who's
years
the
behind.
gay guy? Was a white man.
Right. They're 30 years behind. They always will be.
Like,
you got to realize that, like, Jim Crow shit was not long ago.
Really recently.
Like,
at least in Canada, we have a guy with a turban and a woman.
Yeah.
But the rest are white guys. But still.
Marginally better.
But
equal representation. Oh wait, never mind. That's not. That's not.
Like you have to vote. You have to vote between like shitty 80-year-old white man or shitty 80-year-old white man, and it's like, how is that freedom? Like, do you think this is going to get any better?
I think if aliens invade, everything will be.
No,
everything will get better. No, I'm serious.
Like, fuck, I know you are, but like...
I'm serious. Like, the only thing that will make all this shit go away is common enemy.
Which is what you're saying is that it's never going to get better.
Probably not, no.
Yeah. And what do you think this is going to... We're going to get... like, America specifically is going to get more divided? How can it get more divided than 50-50? Like,
it can get more extreme.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
become violent.
Where we kill all
You could have physical secession of states, like... It can absolutely get worse.
Yeah.
It's a very big place.
I said earlier, mightier empires have fallen.
Exactly. I say it more so because there's, a couple handfuls of countries that would love to see America fall. And you know what? Billions of them are going to be coming on the internet and coming online. And there's going to be very many smart people with a lot of resources.
Memes. They're going to post memes about secession, and that's what's going to make it happen.
Right. They're just going to be... They have the biggest target on their backs, and they're going to get fucked with relentlessly until they are no longer the most fun to fuck with.
Well, I think what's going to happen, like, I'm leaning towards Biden is going to win this. And I think Biden's going to win, and then there's still, like, within a few months, a white cop is going to kill a black man. And
we'll wait and see what happens.
And it's gonna be like, wait, but we elected Joe Biden,
right? But
why the fuck is this still happening?
It'll be more so of black man gets killed by a white cop instead of the white protester that then, got shot gets more attention than the black man that the protest is about. Like, that's a real thing that, like, Trump doesn't even pretend to be empathetic to the black man that got shot.
Did he say anything about George Floyd? And
not really. Like,
not really, right?
It was the absolute minimum acknowledgement he could grant.
Yeah, like, it's a shame.
He talked.
He said,
it's
a shame it happened.
Right.
Like,
No, he talked twice as much about the 17-year-old that shot 2 BLM protesters.
Oh yeah, Ruttenberg. Or
right.
whatever.
Yeah. He talked about that guy more than he talked about anything else. Like,
which, the more I read into that, the more I'm kind of on the kid's side.
The BLM protester shot first.
Because I'm like, oh, holy shit, this kid illegally crossed state lines, brought an automatic weapon, and shot black people. Holy fuck. But then that was what the headline said.
Yeah.
Ruttenberg, Kyle something, whatever.
Of course it was Kyle.
And then I started reading into it, and it's like, oh, he crossed state lines, quote, 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 because he lived in the town on one side of the border, and he hung out with his friends on the other side of the border, which he did every single day because he's like lives right on the border. I'm like, okay, so the crossing state lines thing is bullshit. And it's like, oh, illegally gun, whatever. It's like, oh no, wait. In his home state where it was registered or whatever, he was legally allowed to have the gun. Okay, so that's bullshit as well. And I'm like, okay, well, he's fucking shooting at black people. It's like, oh no, wait, they were white people. It was just Black Lives Matter people. It's like, okay, well, you still just shouldn't be shooting people. And then I see pictures of Black Lives Matter protesters with pistols pointed at them.
Yeah.
Shooting at this kid. And in America, we don't have the right in Canada, but in America, you have the right to shoot back at people that shoot at you.
Yeah.
And there's this great picture now with this like guy leaning on his pistol with his arm fucking blown off by this kid, like, whatever. And it's like, oh, that guy was armed the entire time. I hate to be on the side of like the white supremacists, but it's like,
yeah, it's not
what the media was telling me, and I hate it.
It's not the truth that matters. It's the interpreted rhetoric.
Which is bullshit, right?
But that doesn't matter. It doesn't. Of course, it's bullshit. But everything in politics is bullshit. It's the interpreted effect is more important than reality. What they hear is more important than what you say.
Do you think the media is actively manipulating stuff like that?
Yeah, of course they have to.
Do you think they're aware of that though, or they're just like, no, this is what because they're so left wing brained that they're like, no, this is what happened. It's got to be. Or do you think they're actively like, we know what happened, but...
I think it's actively evil in both directions.
I agree. I think both... Well, because, for instance, like that Sandman, Nicholas Sandman, maybe? The kid that was the MAGA kid. He was a 16-year-old kid or whatever, wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
At a protest, and there was this native guy yelling in his face, and he was just smiling or whatever. And the media was like... painting this fucking kid as the bad guy. It's like, oh, he's fucking antagonizing, whatever, blah, blah. But then I watched the whole video, and it's like, oh no, this native guy was like hitting him and he was like being really restrained. And the smile was only for a second because he was nervous, apparently, allegedly. I don't know. I just watched the fucking report.
Full video did not make it look like he was a bad guy at all.
No. And the courts would agree because he sued for defamation from like CNN and a bunch of other places and won like tens of millions of dollars settlement for defamation. The courts would agree that this was not how it seemed. Like they were manipulating the information.
Yeah. No, it's incredibly complicated.
And like I would consider myself I usually side with the left in these kind of disputes.
Typically, yeah.
Like, you know me. Like,
it's just, it's usually the more human side of it.
And obviously, this podcast, like talking about Trump and everything, obviously I'm probably giving a lot more right opinions in this podcast, but you know me as a person, like typically I'm usually more on the left than I am on the right. I'm just run a business. But I hate to see myself proved wrong, you know what I mean? Like, I hate to, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to side with this left person, and then it comes out, it's like, like, the whole Jesse Smollett thing. You follow that?
Mm-mm.
That actor, black actor, whatever, got the shit beat out of him, and he goes on Twitter and he's like, "Oh, this is it was a hate crime." They were like, "Oh, what's up, N-word and whatever," and beat the shit out of him or whatever. And then it came out later that he hired people to beat the shit out of him.
Ugh.
To like fake a hate crime.
Isn't that like a worse sentence, staging a hate crime? Oh, who got charged of that recently?
It may have been Jussie Smollett.
No. It was like a business.
Oh yeah, in Winnipeg.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So in Winnipeg, in our city, this Jewish restaurant or grocery store, I think it was a restaurant off Corden. So it was a whole big thing. This Jewish restaurant gets swastikas spray painted on their windows. They get their cars fucking bumpers smashed off. They get their windows smashed, rocks thrown through, like swastikas, go home Jews, all this shit. And then it comes out they did it themselves. It was, I don't know how we found it out, but it was
a police investigation.
Yeah, police did an investigation, and they showed I guess security camera footage of like them breaking their own windows and drawing swastikas on their own fucking whatever. And apparently they all fled to America after it happened because they were going out of business. The restaurant was going out of business.
Yeah.
So like, how do we get back in business? Okay, let's stage this hate crime
and get sympathy
votes, and they did. For a second, because they went on CBC, all this national news, and said like,
and
"Holy
then
shit!"
CBC clapped back equally hard.
And then they were like, "Oh, these fucking guys!" And last I heard of them, like not even a month ago, they're in America right now, and they can't come to court because of COVID. They can't get back into the country. So, what's your opinion on that?
I think justice was served. That's pretty fucking shitty, and faking a hate crime is, I don't know, it's inconceivable. It's fucking awful. Like, hate crimes themselves, by definition, are like the worst kinds of crimes. And trying to become a victim of that is just, it's fucking disgusting.
For money.
It's fucking disgusting.
For money. That's what they were trying to do, right?
I think everyone can agree on that, though.
Well, just like I don't know if you have, but like I've known people that got falsely accused of sexual assault.
Yeah.
Like unequivocally, like they 100% proven in court that they didn't do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be just defending, like, I like to give the benefit of the doubt to victims and like survivors, obviously, but like this was like unequivocally like proven they did not sexually assault anyone, but they got blamed for it, and like a year they got dragged out for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Someone I personally know, and it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like the hate crime thing and the sexual assault thing. It's you're discrediting everyone who actually goes through that. The worst thing you could name, top 3 things you never want to have happen to you, probably sexual assault and hate crime, right?
Right.
And to have someone fake that for either clout or money or whatever it is, that's beyond fucked up. Like, that's it's brutal, right? And I don't even know. I guess they haven't had the court case. The people we're talking about, these Jewish restaurant or whatever, they haven't had the whatever. But I don't even know what do you get punished with? Like,
no, it's fraud, obviously. There's a specific charge to do with like faking a hate crime,
because we have a human rights tribunal in Canada where they specifically deal with hate crimes and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think there's a charge at that level.
There should be.
Like, it's bad.
I think there should be.
It's very bad.
I think there should be for like faking a crime like that. I think it should be just as equal as the punishment for the crime.
Yeah, no, I think
in my opinion,
I think it's up there from what I remember reading.
I don't.
It's fucking bad.
But it's fucked up. Like, I don't know, because you're like hurting the credibility of other people that actually go through that.
Yeah,
which is fucked up. Because you always hear people like sexual assault survivors saying like, well, why would I report it? No one's going to believe me. Why do you not think people believe them? Because people fucking bullshit about it. Like,
well, and also just people lie. Usually white men that do shady things.
Also, men, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Honestly,
men.
why are men?
I don't know, but they shouldn't.
Why are men? I don't know. I don't know why men are.
Okay, I think we've said everything we need to say about this. This is
What,
the
the
fucking
election?
longest episode ever.
True.
Yeah, election is not budging. 253 Biden, 214 Trump.
I'm going to call it for Biden.
Yeah, I want to call it for Biden as well. I say we call it for Biden, but in the next 3 to whatever weeks,
Do you want to film
it's going to be incredibly contested and probably pretty hostile.
I think we'll probably just stick to, this is Wednesday, right? No, this is Thursday.
Wednesday.
What day of the week is it? This is Wednesday right now. And we will record on our we regularly record Wednesdays, but we decided to record yesterday because of the election.
Yeah.
So this is a double back-to-back half episode. I don't know.
Yes.
So I think we'll just recoup next week.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's like a civil war that breaks out, we'll record it earlier. But
yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll probably just recoup next week. We'll give our we'll do a full episode and actually talk about it. So.
Hot take: if there's a draft to defend the border,
we don't have the draft in Canada.
But if there was,
okay,
would you go?
Go back to episode 4. Would we join the draft if that was literally the topic? Episode 4, episode 2. It was like one of the first episodes. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. Fuck them.
I might because
I know you would.
I might because like my hometown's like minutes from the border.
I don't give a shit about your hometown.
Your vineyard is literally a mile from the U.S.
You think I care about my business? You overestimate my fucking...
Okay. On that note,
my name is
Willows wants to burn down his vineyard.
My name is Willows. Don't burn down my vineyard. Vote Willows. VOTEWILLOWS. Vote Willows on everything. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Steam.
Steam.
Name a thing.
Steam boy.
Kijiji. I don't know. Name a thing. It's going to be Vote Willows, probably. Just follow me. I have a co-host as well.
And my name is Tyler, and you can find me somewhere on the internet. I don't particularly want to be found.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Follow us.
Try to find me and find out.
Follow us, Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram, Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook, Alcohol Beyond This Point on Spotify. If you're listening to this episode right now, please leave us a message anywhere, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere where you're listening from. We really appreciate it. And if you want to send in a bottle for Shot Collar, send us a message. We'll figure that out. That's the segment where you, the audience, pick the shot that we take. Other than that, congratulations to President Obama. I'm really happy that we have the first Spanish-American Prime Minister in America. What?
Mazel tov.